Ndewo. Lighting is kind of crazy. It's fine, anyways. Ndewo. I think the timing, I put the time for the live we are chat, which is funny because I use creator, created all the time. But this is why some concepts within Odinani, Igbo spirituality, are easier to understand in the language it was taught, the language it was created, and the language it was delivered. I'm trying to get, yeah. So ndewo. We're gonna start. You know what? I didn't give anybody warning about this live, so I'm gonna go ahead and start once we have. Give me a number. Okay, ndewo nwanne. Hey, why Oma? Give me a number. I'm gonna start when we get that number. First person to post a number. Don't say nothing crazy either. If you say something crazy, I'm throwing you away. 5. All right. All right, Phoenix says 5. Once we get 5 people in here, we're gonna go ahead and begin. Phoenix said, just start the damn conversation. What the hell? Ndewo, everybody. Ndewo. All right, there goes the light. So yeah, it's gonna keep coming and going, guys. Ndewo. So I think my counter is incorrect because there's 3 of you guys I see talking, but it says there's only 1 person in here. So something is off with the counter for the live. I even have 3 likes, so I know there's 3 people in here. If you are here, hit the like. I saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by leaving the scene. I feel you, Tyrone. It probably is. No, I actually think it might just be 3. I didn't warn anybody. The little time I had on there was incorrect. It was just a bunch of crazy. I didn't have a live last week, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it really was just 3 people in here right now. Once we get 5 people, we're gonna go ahead and begin. We have 7. He said, "All right." So the conversation we're having today is on creation. This word creation. This idea of being created. I am of the thought that you were never created. There was a creator. There was a creator on TikTok that actually articulated this very well. So I'm going to be using a lot of what she had said and where she had taken my mind. So I'm going to go ahead and begin by blessing Audrey. And then we will go ahead and begin. As always, this is Ask Me Anything. I am here as long as you guys have conversations and questions. I'll answer questions about Odinala and Igbo. For those who don't know, my name is Derek Ofaderunwa with the Medicine Shell. I teach Igbo spirituality, philosophy, cosmology, history, and thought here on the Medicine Shell, anything ancestral thought. And yeah, that being said, let us go ahead and begin. Left end came back to be able to see. Okay, that's weird. Okay. All right, let's begin. Okike Keruwa. Alabwala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala na-enye ndụ na-enye nke ọma dị n'ụwa. Ụmụ gị abịala. Ọ bụ obiọma ka anyị ji na-ekele ụmụ ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ, ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ. Ejikwere m obiọma na-ekelekwe ụmụ aja na Afrịka, ụmụ aja na US, ụmụ aja na Caribbean, ụmụ aja na ụwa, ebe ọbụla nọ n'ụwa, ebe ọbụla mmadụ nwere obiọma, nwere aka dị ọcha, nwere obi dị ọma. Anyị ji obiọma na-ekele ụnụ. Okwu nke ga-enye anyị akọ, okwu nke ga-enye anyị uche, okwu nke ga-enye anyị ije n'ụkwụ anyị ga-eji aga ụzọ Chineke kere ka anyị gaa n'ụwa. Otu a ka ọ ga-adị n'eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ ise. All right, let us go ahead and begin. So usually you guys ask me questions. I want to ask you guys a question. I want to see if you guys have some answers. Question I want to ask is, when does a person's life begin? When does a person's life begin? Angel the babe in there. Well, when does a person's life begin? There's no right answer. I just want to get thoughts on this. You know, if you guys have watched my more recent videos, you'll know that I always ask A-B questions. During my mama. This is a bad nigga. It's a bad nigga. Who don't want that? Who don't? When does life begin? When does a person's life begin? Sin is the name of the Mesopotamian moon god in the religions of the Akkadians and the Babylonians. Very interesting. He was also the name, also Nana in Sumerian. The name Mount Sinai may be connected to the moon god Sin of my Sin Sinai makes sense. Mesopotamia, the name Sinai may come from the roots to shine and or the moon. Where are we at? Moon gazing is a practice of observing the moon, either form meditation as a hobby. Akhenaten, I appreciate the wisdom. Udonwan, thanks for sharing that. It was kind of random though. I'm not he came out of nowhere with that shit. All right, Akhenaten, I appreciate that. Udo, I learned something new. But yeah, the sign I think makes sense. Can there be a chief or a group of people? Like there's a chief or an individual? I ask because as African people, we're going through some interesting times. Bill, you have nailed something that I think I do need to speak about more. Every group of people has its own chi. Every group of people has its own chi. Every individual has its own chi. An individual in Odinani is a collection of forces. I'm a collection of forces. You're a collection of forces. If you want to call those forces people, so be it. So we are both groups of people, right? In one, we are many, right? And so, but that's kind of a semi-related point. But yes, a group of people has its own chi. A generation has its own chi. Anything in existence has a chi specific to its own existence and how it will pan into time and space, how it will pan into time and space. So I appreciate that. Where are we at? I have two thoughts in spirit before being yeeted to some. Oh shit! All right, Phoenix, you just all right. All right, I have two thoughts in spirit when life began, right? Or when you started existing. When you start existing is a good one. I have two thoughts in spirit before being yeeted to someone's uterus or at a heartbeat. Interesting. On earth at conception. Okay, she says on earth at conception. Okay. If spirit always existed, then there's no beginning, in my opinion. Aha. You were coming to America? Aha. Eddie Longo says Congolese. No, Igbo. If spirit, okay, we already got that. I believe our life begins in more in spirit. For those who don't know, Duran, thank you for that. We get our assignment, then pick our parents, the environment, need to complete the mission, asked to complete. He said, have you ever heard the gospel of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? I have, but since we are sharing gospels with each other, one of the best ways to learn more about Odinani Indibo is by joining our Patreon community. So if our Lord, who is this? Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is interested, he can join our Patreon community at patreon.com/the medicine shell. Our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ would have full access to our Odinani research library. So it's over 300 books, documents, incredible books, by the way. This isn't just like, this is A1 stuff. So if you really want to go in depth and do your own self study or explore topics that maybe you wouldn't have had any other chance to bump into, you and Jesus can check out patreon.com/the medicine shell. We also have a group study, so I'd be interested in hearing what you and your friend have to say about the different topics we cover in there. And then, of course, at the highest level, right, highest level of Patreon, you can go to our traditional medicine course taught by a practicing deba for no additional cost, as well as our Igbo language class, which we just last week. So the reason I didn't have a live was because I was unbelievably busy getting ready for this Igbo language class we just started last week. We just started the winter session last week, and I was unbelievably busy. This is the biggest group we have had. We've got people in Igbo 1, 2, and 3. This is the biggest group we've ever had, so it was a huge success. And we've also stepped up the production quality and everything like that as far as the Igbo language school. So there was a lot going on. That's why I didn't have the live. I was caught up, right? Ademma. So yeah, if you and the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ want to learn the Igbo language, you can go to www.kedu.me. Sign up for probably Igbo 1. I would imagine Jesus needs Igbo 1. Sign up for Igbo 1. But there's a survey. There's like at the very bottom, you can answer questions and it'll let you know what level you're supposed to be at. So if you or Jesus or level 2 or level 3, we can get you in that as well. I would start. What's funny is, even though we just started class this week, people are already signing up for the next class. So if you're interested, hurry up and get signed up. And let your friend know too. All right. So where are we at? Akhenaten is having a. Akhenaten's going through it. Akhenaten, man, we appreciate the wisdom. Keep it coming, by the way. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. I'm loving this. I'm gonna be reading this while I talk too. All right, so the original question I asked was, when does life begin? When does life begin? Or not when? When were you created? At what point it was like, aha, this person exists now? Somebody in Washington D.C. is calling me. I'm almost scared to answer. Maybe it's the government. All right, FBI, you're gonna have to chill out. I'm live. Are you crazy? FBI, if you're the one calling me, just come in the chat and talk to me. Come in the chat and talk to me. Come in the chat and talk to me. FBI. Somebody from Washington D.C. just gave me a call. So if it's the CIA, just come in the chat and ask questions. You can also join patreon.com/the medicine shell. I'm sure there's plenty of people you're looking for. Yeah. All right. We have a wily bunch. We have a wily bunch of very divergent thinkers. It would be like a damn what's that term they say? A fox in a hen coop, right? I'm just kidding, guys. I'm not inviting the CIA to the group study. All right, okay. Where are we at? Where are we at? I'm sure Jesus would enjoy your Patreon. Yeah, I would imagine. It's got everything Jesus likes: community, exclusive posts from the medicine shell, African spirituality, right? And Jesus loves African spirituality, you know? He went to Egypt and came back doing some deviant shit. So, yeah, of course, now we can help him get to the next level, right? Okay. Because, there's a level you need to be able to speak the ancestral language, because you can't come speaking all that Hebrew, what's Hebrew Israelite bullshit. You got to come with the original, kong. You understand? The language of Eligwe, the language of Ndimbu Nandiegede. Aha. Okay, so once he gets that little Igbo rhythm going, then who knows? Maybe what's the the Third Testament? That shit's he's gonna drop a third testament. If Jesus signed up for our traditional medicine class, he'll drop a third testament, right? He'll drop a third testament. He'll get back in the game. You understand? So, and this is me talking about Jesus. Now, can you imagine, right, the level you can reach once you really tap in and you're being taught by someone who has his hands in the whole thing? Guys, I'm really proud of what we've built as a community, as a movement. I'll say as a movement, right? Because community, I'm getting kind of hesitant about sharing that word out like that, right? I'm getting kind of hesitant. Not that I don't like you guys, but I don't know some of y'all motherfuckers. I don't know some of y'all motherfuckers, man. All right, question. Can we here in diaspora get some rituals to help us build collective chi, since we have a petty president? Hey, is it a full moon? Hey, is it a full? What's going on, man? Everybody's going with that chaos. Is it a full moon? Duran, what's good? Duran, chill. I just got a call from Washington, D.C. You want to make it worse. All right. Anyways, we're ready for them. We got the ring camera set up. I may or may not have a couple of them things in the house, All right, where we at? Building a collective chi. Can we get help? You know what's funny? So in Kedu, we have these boot camps, right? Where we do these different things. But I thought, why don't I just have these boot camps year round, right? Have them year round. If you're a student in Kedu, you can come in during your session, any of them for no additional cost. But we cover different topics like that, right? collective ritual, building Mbari houses, Nsibidi, Afa divination, all these different things, how to pray, how to form ritual items, how to fortify the self, how to manifest, then cultural things, women's cultural perspective, men, all these different things. I was thinking about that. I was like, you know what? I think this is something we need to do. So keep an eye out for that, Duran. I mean, I know you're trying to throw shots at that boy, but you're actually on to something that I was synergy. We're thinking of the same thing. Jesus means earth pig in Greek language. Yow, yow. Okay. Jesus, Yeshua, Utsu, all the same. Krishna, Christos. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, somebody, there's a post held for show. Urdu means show the post now. Okay, the moderator handled this. Moderator, thank you so much. Okay, let me not say too much. My wife cheated on me with my hamster. It says a lot about you, my man. Wow, that's deep. You're giving me a 50 Shades of Grey. Hey, I got a bell. I can't find the damn bell. I got a bell that I was gonna ring. One of you guys came with that freaky bullshit, man. Hey, who said I gave a 50? The warrior mods, throw the warrior in the trash, man. We're not coming with that. This is a post freaky live. This is a post freaky. We're not coming with any of that energy today. This is a post freaky. I swear, if I find out it's a full moon, would you guys come with this werewolf ass energy? Jesus is a metaphor for the sun. Yes, absolutely. Aten, yes. Very specifically the rays of the sun, right? In Odinani, we would say Abala, or Abiyama, right? But if I start saying that now, it gives all these little Hebrew Israelites an excuse to just like bastardize my culture. So I gotta keep some things to myself, because even though I would love to share it, there's a lot of humans that are refusing to build enough perspective to handle what's being said. So what you said about Jesus being a metaphor for the sun is correct. I'm surprised this channel pops up on Christian YouTube. Yeah, yeah. No, YouTube is an agent of chaos. Is an agent of chaos. Most Hebrew names. Wait, most Hebrew names is Igbo. Thieves want us to accept their own BS. Okay, most Hebrew names is Igbo names. I don't know about that. These want us to accept their own BS. We have nothing to do with those people. We have nothing to do with those people. We have nothing to do with those people. Question. Okay, finally. John, thank you. Yeah, talk about 50 Shades of Grey and goddamn Amutsu. So okay, John, is your chi also the same as the chi of Chukwu, just expressed as your destiny? Yes, it's so all of creation, all of existence is a singular living being, right? Or let me say this, a couple, right? It's a couple. Now, when I call it couple, that's cosmic imagination. That's how somebody frames it. You can also see it as a being and that being spirit. Okay? In Odinala, Ndibo, everything comes in dual pairs. Everything comes in dual pairs, and this dual pair repeats itself all throughout the different scales and dimensions of existence at all times in all things. Okay? So in that pair, or that pair in Igbo, we refer to it as Chineke, which is Chukwu Abiyama and Ekeke Rua, right? Eke being the universe, and then Chi being, despite the title, I would say the creator, okay? But cosmic imagination, that's all cosmic imagination. That's a person describing something to another person using their own words. You can also see it, right? Here's a new one. I don't think a lot of you, I've said this to a lot of you guys. You can also see it as the universe and its spirit. The universe and its spirit. Because when you break down those pairs, Mado correlates with Ekekeruwa and Mo correlates with Chukwuabiyama. So it's the same thing again and again. And Mado is the person, Mo is that person's aura, their spirit, and so forth, right? It is said that Nyobala Madu, Nyobala Madu Mere, or I'm sorry, Nyobala Madu Mere, Ebruzo Mena Mo. So anything done by a person is first done in spirit, right? We say the same thing on a cosmic scale, right? Nkobala Emer Nowa, Ebruzo Meya Nobi Chuku. Anything that happens in the world was first done Nobi Chuku. It's the same thing being said on different scales, meaning that if you can understand your left and your right hand, you can understand all of creation, right? It's simpler than it is complicated. It is simpler than it is complicated because the formula for the left and the right hand, the formula for person and spirit, the formula for man and woman is what is used to piece every single thing together and put creation in together. 50 Shades, weirdo. Yeah, hey, whoever said 50 Shades, Udochi, I hope you're here. Throw that fool in the trash. This is 2025. We're in a post-freaky America. Where this is not happening anymore. We're done. We're done. There's a guy on YouTube that used to get mad. He's like, I'm tired of being handsome. Right? We're tired of being handsome. No more freaky. No more freaky. It's over. It's over. Throw that fool in the trash. Adumma. Hey, I would. Okay. Did I miss questions? I missed a question. Okay, so going back, I'm sorry, John. Or let me say I appreciate your patience. John, so chi and chuku, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing manifesting on different levels. As the universe has a chi, you have a chi, right? What happens with the nature of your chi is the nature of that, the universe's chi, is the nature of the chi of this and that, and the group's chi and the collective's chi and so forth, right? Adumma, adumma. Whenever the Ndi will say that, ebe ọbụla ihe kwadoro, ihe ọzọ kwadoro n'akụkụ ya, which means anytime something stands, another thing stands next to it. Whether you see it or not, whether you can experience it or not, right? All things come in twos. So that two, okay, the one is the chi. Everything else is the two, right? I feel like usually I take my time and really just, but today I just feel like getting real parable-y with it. So whatever. There's some kind of chaotic energy in the air. We're gonna roll with it, right? 50 Shades of Gray. We're in a post-freaky America. Hey, I would like an episode or something in-depth discussion on 90% on manifestation. That's a good one. Maybe you might help. You might help me make some serious money. Okay. So far, if you're looking for videos that pertain to manifestation, I have not done one focused specifically on manifestation. But if you're looking for videos that pertain to manifestation, I would check out my Omumu, OMUMU video. I would check out, I know I've got more on manifestation. How our ancestors prayed is another video that talks a little bit about it, but I have not given it its own focus. So that's a really good topic. And yeah, I will help you make a lot of money for sure. Try not to blow up the spot. I love our village. Me too. I do. I sincerely, sincerely do. That's why I gotta get all these freaky ass villains and Mormons out of this damn chat so we can enjoy this as a community. All right. Are you aware of masquerade societies? Am I? I'm a member of one, Diana. I'm a member of the Owu Society, but I'm what they call Nwa Owu. I am a child of Owu, which means I was blessed into Owu. I'm going to tell you guys a story. So I told this story in my last video, and then because I didn't want the video to go too long, I actually cut it out. So I'll tell the story in another video, but you guys will get the story early. And when I was maybe 5 or 6, probably 5, when I was 5 years old, I was living in Nigeria, and there was this, it was masquerade season. And during masquerade season, there's OU season specifically. During OU season, OU comes in two forms, right? OU comes in the nice OU that everybody watches together. And then OU comes in its scary forms that come out at night. And those scary forms that come out at night, as a child, you're not supposed to set eyes on them. Women also don't set eyes on them either. In fact, if you want to be really traditional, only members of the OU society can set eyes on those particular ones. So when they're walking through the community at night, somebody will be saying, uh, Ofeke something something. Ofeke is like an uninitiated, somebody who is a pedestrian, right? And the thing they're saying more or less is there a pedestrian on the path? Is there a pedestrian on the path? Is there an Ofeke on the path, right? Not pedestrian is not a good word for it. Is there an unknowing, an unknower on the path? Is there an unknower on the path, right? Um, and then if you are an unknower and you're on the path, you're supposed to run off, right? And so the society kind of takes over the community for like one moon, from the sixth moon on Wago, right? And I remember one day when I was young, I was inside. We were inside of our house, and we have like a metal door, so you just hear kong kong, right? And again, at this time of the day, if you listen close, you hear all these little like strange drummings very far in the distance. You'll hear of like little masquerade voices every now and then, but you're supposed to just stay out of it, right? So as a 5 year old, there's a lot going on in your head. This is some scary times, right? So I hear this clanking on the door, and my aunt comes and gets me and my brother, and she doesn't tell us what's going on or nothing. And I'm 5, I didn't even ask. And I kept going by. I remember my mom was cooking something at that time, was cooking something. And they take us to the basement, and my dad is not basement, sorry, to the second floor, and my dad is there, and it looked like he was in a room with like the Ku Klux Klan. It was all these. It was just these figures in white sheets, and it wasn't the. I'm sorry, it wasn't the Ku Klux Klan, but yeah, it was just these figures in white sheets. But it is a similar feeling. I was just like, "Yo!" And there's these figures on white sheets, and I remember what they did was they put Nzu on my forehead, they put Nzu on my feet. They did the same for my brother, and said some stuff. I don't remember. I was a little kid. Um, and that kind of thing. And I did not know, but that particular situation was blessing me and my siblings into the OU society. So I'm a member, but I've not participated at all because I was only given the full context of what that means in the past 6 years. So so I'm a member, but yeah, I know a lot about masquerade societies. It is a passion of mine. Um, and so forth. For those who don't know, masquerade societies back home serve a lot of purposes. They are mystery schools where you are learning a certain type of spiritual understanding, a certain type of spirituality, a certain type of practice, a certain type of medicine. They are trade schools where oftentimes you're learning a craft as well that's connected to that masquerade society. You're learning a craft as well, and they are also like mini governments. So you can also, like, during times where we're cleansing the community, the masquerade society will take over and is in control. And that's why at this time of the year, during that sixth moon, you're not supposed to walk on certain paths, you're not supposed to be out at night and that kind of thing. What they're doing is cleansing the environment and the community for, I don't know why his neighbor's shining this light on me, jackass. But yes, I don't. What they're doing is cleansing the community for, um, uh, cleansing the community for the planting season, for the planting that's going to happen. Okay, so during that particular moon, during that particular moon, there's a lot that every community has this. During that, there's a lot going on as far as like masquerades, activities, things like that. The masquerades will come in two forms. They'll come in the form that tells a story and is mainly for like entertainment and enjoyment. And they'll come in the form that is not to be seen by women, as they describe it, right? In my own community, this is OU, and OU comes in two forms, as Okorosha and as OU. Okorosha. Okorosha now is friendly and cute, but back in the day, back in the day, Croatia is carrying this big ass machete, and the big idea is get out of its way because it'll swing, and because the Masquerade Society runs the community for that month, may not get punished for it, right? So, but yeah, even one of the teachers for Kedu was also a member of a Masquerade Society, and then our current teacher now is like an expert on masks, or he knows a lot about African masks and things like that. So, any question you have specifically about Masquerade Society, I'd love to answer, Diana. Thank you. It's not a full moon. It passed last week. Okay, I'll do my. I figured it wasn't. My boy Akhenaten's doing his thing. Okay, do the eras ages start over, or I don't know? C Brackens, I don't know. People ask me that all the time. I don't know, right? I don't know if they start over. Um, I don't know if they start over. I don't know what them starting over even looks like or would be experienced as. But what I do know is that when you pay attention to the relationship with time in Odinani, there is this separation between Chineke that keeps growing and growing and growing with time, right? And then something within the Eke will now split, and then that'll keep growing. And then something else is split, something else is split. So all of those ages are the story of separation, right? Like when you see the growth of a cell and the cell starts as one and splits into two, then splits into four, then splits into whatever. So I don't think it repeats in the sense that we go back to the beginning, but I think the pattern of connection, separation continues, meaning that the next age we're going to encounter, if my theory is correct, is an age of great connection, Mba, mba, mba. Machunzo. Thank you. All right, John, the concept of everything being a couple reminds me of Tantric Hinduism, where they say everything is a dance between Shakti and Shiva. Yes, yes. Thank you for the explanation. Yeah, so you'll find a lot of parallels between Odinani and Hinduism, except like, let me not say everything, right? Because they got some stuff in there too that wouldn't work. But especially the oldest, most early teachings and forms and understandings of Hinduism, because Hinduism is a cosmology that has a religion placed on top of it, right? Odinani is a cosmology. I think people are trying to place a religion on top of it, but I'm here to make sure that doesn't happen, right? So all cosmologies generally say the same thing. All cosmologies generally say the same thing. You'll find a lot of what is being said in Odinani in Kabbalah. You'll find it in a lot of the Hermetic studies in Europe. You'll find it in Taoism. You'll find it in, or like what Taoism is based on. You'll find it in Hinduism. You'll find the Native Americans saying very similar things because fundamentally our ancestors are observing creation and describing it to their children. Observing creation, describing it to their creation. Religion is when somebody comes with like, this is how it is, but this is how it should be, right? That's a whole different thing. That's not what we're doing, right? We're saying the sky is blue, right? So in India, they're going to say the sky is blue. In North America, they're going to say the sky is blue. That's just what that is. Odema. Ndị agha dị otu nke a. Ọ gịnị dị nwanne amarụ m nke YouTube chọrọ ime m. Amadụ m ihe m mere YouTube at the same time, you know what I'm saying? But ọ dị ka sọnsọ ndị ga-afụ mgbe ọbụla m na-aga live bụ ndị na-abịa kemgbe na ndị ara ha abụọ ga-abịa na-ama onwe ha. So it's just what it is. Where we as yes, the spiritual controls the physical. He said, so above, below, so as above and below, but on steroids. Yeah, yeah, more or less. Yeah. How prevalent is polygyny among traditionalists in Igbo land? Not that. It's not that common. It's not that common. But you know, it's funny too because I feel that is polygyny is like having multiple wives, right? There's one of them where it's like polyandry. Okay, maybe okay, yeah, polygyny. Yeah, it's not that common among Igbo people. In the past, it was more common, but I think everybody just decided that shit don't work collectively. And then, of course, there was pressure from colonialism. But the general understanding in Nigeria is that polygamous families have a lot of chaos. So, do DBS tell? And then, like, once the father dies, the family disperses. Do DBS tell parables in a song like they don't stay together? Do DBS tell parables in a sing-song way, or do they sing parables? Yeah, absolutely. So the Igbo language is to be sung. It is a song, right? You sing when you speak Igbo. This is why all of the masquerades in Igbo, when you hear them speak, they're singing. There's a vibration they're going to be doing in their voice. I believe all of the coastal West African languages are like this too. But you sing Igbo, right? Now, linguists try to say it's a tonal language. I don't believe it's a tonal language. I believe it's a rhythmic language. And the rhythm, the singing, is as important as what you're saying, right? So if I say, and I like, we talk about this in Kedu, our Igbo language school. We talk about this a lot, right? Like when I say we teach Igbo as Igbo, this is what I mean as far as Kedu goes. So if I say you can find me in the club, a pocket full of bub, I'm not saying the same thing as you can find me in the club. You know what I mean? So the rhythm is as important as the words. They both have to connect to convey the message. So in Kedu, we tell people to sing the words I'm saying, sing it the way I sung it. If I say, oh, father, I'm going to show you guys something we do at Kedu. So if I say, oh, father, this is called the humming technique. Ofo, derengwa. Yeah, that rhythm is as important. Anything else is incorrect. So that being said, when you do afa, anytime you're communicating with the ancestors at that level, not for the average person, you don't have to do this, but if you really want to take it to the next level, you have to sing what you're saying, right? My altar is in around this vicinity, is around this area. When I go to my altar, I sing what I'm saying. I sing what I'm saying. Sometimes when I'm really gingered and I'm breakingology, I'll sing. I'll sing what I'm saying. I'll throw the vibration in there, right? Because that's what makes it happen. There has to be a vibration in your voice. Ilu, all of them, you sing them. Masquerades, they sing. Any type of ancestral representation or connection is vibrating, is singing, right? Odema. It is said that similar to what somebody was saying about Shakti and Shiva, Chuku operates in the world. Chuku is a dancing god, is what they say. Chuku is a dancing god. Right? The vibration is important. The rhythm is important. Look at the game. All right. Look, I'm glad I'm not a YouTuber, but I don't think I'd have problems of you. So mad. Yeah, we handsome men are being oppressed. uh John says, do you believe in Jesus Christ? No. He seems a man, and what the hell's going on? Yo, it is chaotic in here today. All right. Hey, what language is it? The only language I've spoken so far is Igbo, right? Kwa language in West Africa, for you if you don't know. Water has bones. Water has bones. Yes, yes. Carl Rasan, that's one of my favorite proverbs. The proverb says, the only reason people don't know that water has bones is because people refuse to chew water, right? There's an ilu that says, the only reason, what was I going to say? The only reason people don't know that water has bones is because people refuse to chew water. Okay. What do you guys think that proverb means? What do you think that ilu means? What do you think that ilu means? I would love to get your interpretation, right? The ilu says, people don't know that water has bones because people refuse to chew water. Okay? Adema. Chiku, you give off major uncircumcised. Hey, throw that fool in the trash. Chief Queef, you're going in the trash. Somebody block him. Block that fool. Life is solely based on level. Many of our Igbo are crazy with foreign religions, yes. Because we are ignorant of our own royal heritage and traditions. Uchenna, you said it perfectly. You said it perfectly, right? And it's causing a lot of problems. I wouldn't be so adamant because honestly, I'm not an evangelist. I'm not here to spread anything, right? Odinani is like my credit card number, right? If I'm sharing it with you, it's purely to your benefit, right? It's purely to your benefit to have my credit card number. I gain nothing from other people knowing my credit card number, right? Because it has actual power to it. There's something to it, right? So yeah, but we're having a lot of problems at home. All this Christianity thing that people are trying to use to oppress themselves and oppress their neighbors and destroy each other and tear families apart and arrest people. They're doing this one in Anambra now, that they're just anybody that's a debia. They'll just show up. The police will show up at your house, start asking you questions, right? So things like that. These trolls are annoying as f. Yeah, you gotta. Trolls are like it's like the wind. You gotta just you gotta be a kite. You gotta just float with it, right? Because what a troll wants is friction. What a troll wants is friction, right? Once a troll gets friction, then the troll knows that they've been acknowledged by somebody in the world, right? Now, you also have to understand, what does it take for a person to scour the internet looking for some type of acknowledgement, but being fully aware that they can't get acknowledgement for by doing something significant or great. They can get the acknowledgement just by getting a little friction on a live chat. So I understand the state of mind that they're in. And because I understand it, just let the breeze blow by, okay, give them their little, dap and let them go. So if the trolls are funny, I'll laugh with them, right? It's entertaining. It's not a big deal. it's you say like Chief Queef, Chief Queef is doing a pretty good job. Adoma. Uncircumcised energy is hilarious. I'm going to use that. Oh has water, oh me, right? Yes, Angel Debate, oh me, absolutely. So the origin story of the O Society is that long, long ago, in the very beginnings of this particular community near Oguta, I can't remember the name of the community, but it's near Oguta. There was a man who went and married the love of his life and brought her home, and they lived together. And one day, this diligent woman, who he now calls his wife, went to the river to fetch water. And in the process of fetching the water, she found a staff, like a stick, some kind of staff. There was something significant to that staff. She knew that it wasn't an ordinary stick or something somebody had just dropped by, but a gift given to her by the water. So she took the gift and she showed her husband. She said, "What is this?" And he looked at it and says, "I don't know, but there's something special about it, right? Let us take this to Adibia." So the husband and wife got together and they took the stick to the Dibia. And the Dibia looked at the stick and said, this staff is a child. This staff is a child. And we must celebrate the birth of this child by throwing a great festival and a great feast. And we will feast and we'll have a festival and we will dance a beautiful dance to celebrate the water for giving us this child. And so they got together and they began doing a dance to celebrate the birth of this child. Well, the father of the wife heard all the noise and how everybody in the world was coming to gather to see this child. They were coming from the east, they were coming from the west, they were coming from the north, they were coming from the south to see this new child and this wonderful dance that was being done in honor of this child given to the world by this water, the staff. And so the man came and said, how did this child come about? And the man was told that it was given to the wife by the river. And he said, well, that person you guys are calling wife is my daughter. And so long as she's my daughter, anything she possesses is my possession, because she is part of my family. And so the father and his people came to the family and said that the wife must come home from her husband's house, must come home and bring the child, which was the staff. And so after a big commotion, the father snatched up the wife and took her home and said, this is my daughter, whatever she has is mine. The husband then went to hearing what happened, went to go get his wife back. The elders of the wife's village came together and sat down to settle the dispute. And what they said was, this woman was the wife of this man, and when she found this staff, anything that is in her hands is in the hands of this household, not the household of her father. And so the tradition of O began from that day when the wife returned home, and every year they celebrated the birth of the child and the father getting off her back, I guess, by having this dance called O, right? And so Owu is one of the names of Nemiri, and the child, the staff that they received was the Ofo. It is said that this is the origin story of the Ofo, how the Ofo came into the world, right? But I'm sure different communities have their different stories of how the Ofo came into the world. And so Owu is done, it starts first in that community that founded it, and then Oguta is second, and I think we are third or fourth or fifth, somewhere there. And then even in my own village, they'll go from different parts. Like they do theirs. My mom's town goes first, or I say village, but like in my people, my mom's town goes first. My dad's town is like third, and there's one in between, and so on and so forth, right? And so you can trace the history of our people by watching what's going on in Owu. At the same time, there's components to Owu that you don't see. Like for example, Komosu comes out during Owu under the name Nana, under the name Nana. And the Nana can only be seen by members of the Owu society. I forgot to mention, so when they dropped the Nzu on my head and on my feet, it meant that I'm allowed to watch all of the dances of Owu, the secret ones and the wide open ones, the public ones. I can watch all of them. And so there's a bunch of them that only members can see. And it also means that like when I achieve things in life, then Owu will come and celebrate with me and that kind of thing. And that if I wanted to fully join Owu, then I wouldn't have to pay as expensive dues to be a member. So that kind of thing. But yeah, Owu is Nemiri. Nemiri is Owu. That's one of her names. Ava Owu. Um, and then whatever name of the river that we're referring to. Okay. All of the river Abara, all of the water Abara is referring to a very specific body of water. And I think it's important for us to understand that. I think it is very important for us to understand that. When we say Njaba, which is the phrase we use, we're not saying Njaba because we believe in this thing called Njaba somewhere in the sky. Njaba is the very literal, very specific name of the river that runs through my community, right? Njaba, the river, is the owner, the original owner of our land. So we are like tenants, and she is the landlord, right? She comes to us in the form of humans, in the form of humans, which are some specific people in our community, and comes to us in the form of the python in the animal form. She also can come to you by dream, different ways, that kind of thing, right? Waking visions, all that stuff. But Njaba is the original owner of the land, and so we celebrate Owu to honor her, right? We are what we in Igbo. There are different types of Igbo people. We are Oru Igbo people, which are people that are connected to water, right? And our main Arashi, the main shrine in our town, is the river. So when you hear a lot of the Abara, even in the Yoruba tradition that a lot of you guys are familiar with, when you hear a lot of the Orishas and things like that, these are real people or these are actual physical places. Like Oshun is a river, right? When they say Oshun, they mean the river. They don't mean like that Beyonce thing. They talk about this very specific river and the attributes of the river and the spirit of that river and how it manifests when it visits people and how people have experienced it for thousands of years. In my own town, it's in Jaba. In some towns, it's Emo. In some towns, it's Idemmili. It's in some towns, it's something else. It's just whatever river is near you, right? So me, I'm in America. I don't know which river is near where I'm at, right? But I would imagine the Mississippi, right? For some people, the what are some other rivers in America? You know what I mean, right? That kind of thing. So one of the Abara in American cosmology would be Mississippi, and you would regard her as a senior member of your community. That's what's going on. So when we're having celebrations, we make sure she's included. We give her her share. Every now and then, people go give her thanks. Sometimes people have disputes and conflicts with her that need to be settled one way or another, or not usually not with her, man, more so with her children, right? That kind of thing. So when we talk about the Abara and all these things, we're talking about real life, real things. Anyanwu, there's no other word for the sun than Anyanwu. It means the sun, right? Igwe is very literally the sky. Allah is very literally, um, what you call it, the earth, right? That kind of thing. So look at when I talk about Abara, don't think about this as like a belief system or oh they think these gods did this, right? This real Greekification that a lot of African pantheons undergo. We are talking about the real elements of nature, and we understand them as people because one, we encounter them as people, and two, because we have a mutual relationship with them. The same kind of relationship you would have with a grandmother, a grandfather, a neighbor, right? The same kind of relationship you would have with them, and therefore you deal with them as a person. You deal with them in terms of a person. You deal with them with you afford them, not even afford them. It sounds crazy to say that, but they get the respect of a person. But the respect is notched up a little bit because we have a respect for elders, and all of these things were here before you, right? We have a respect for primacy, and all these things were here before you. We have an acknowledgement of reality, and all these things are greater than you, right? The sky is greater than you. You're gonna live and go, and the sky is still gonna be here. Igwe, right? Allah is greater than you, right? There's an ilu that says, no matter how fast a man runs, you can never outrun Allah, right? You can never run so fast that Allah is no longer a part of. I've passed Allah. You cannot, right? So there's no surpassing Allah, right? There's another one that says that okra doesn't outgrow its planter, right? Allah planted us. We came from Allah. Allah is one of our ancestors, right? If I say that one of my ancestors is Nechege and Ukwebu and all these different ancestors that I have, if I keep tracing it all the way back, eventually I'm going to arrive at the sky and the earth. Eventually I'm going to arrive at the sky and the earth, right? And I go even further back before that, and we're at Chineke, right? So this is family. We're talking about when we talk about Allah, we're talking about some as a member of our community. The earth is a member of your community, as a person, a member of your family, not even community. Her own is closer. She's your great grandmother, right? And we treat her as such, right? So that's the best way to contextualize the Abara. That's the best way, the gods, as some people want to say, right? I avoid using that term because I don't want, like, a lot of words come with, they're parcels. They carry things inside them. When you open them, you let out a lot of different things, right? And so there's a lot of things that the word gods carries. It usually comes from like the Christian imagining of what the Greeks were talking about, right? And that kind of thing. So that does not accurately describe what I'm describing. I'm giving you as it is, right? All of these things we talk about, arobinago, all of them, even the ones that sound like, well, what does that mean then? Yeah, what does it mean? Think about it. Harubinago, ago. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Ikwinsu, Amadioha, the more kind of ethereal ones. The more ethereal ones. Abiala. What's some other ones I can think of? Those types of things, right? So that kind of thing. So I hope that made sense. Your ritual video is good for manifest. Yes, Duran. Yeah. Okay, if you want the best video to learn about manifestation is Ritual Explained. Ritual Explained. That's the number one. That's the number one. And then Omomo and how our ancestors prayed, right? That's why you speak that way, but you don't speak French from Nigeria. Dude, I don't know what I'm talking about. So the society is like a secret society. Yeah. OU is a secret society. Yeah. OU is a secret society. Oh, he's an Illuminati. Diddy was free. He's coming for you. Hey, you know what's funny? Those of you who are like 29 years old and above, isn't it funny how P. Diddy is now like it's almost like a mythical figure, you know? Like, think about, and I mean, of course, he has all these victims and things like that. I'm not dismissing any of that. But just the fact that, like one generation views him as a musician who did stuff, and the other one's just like it's a allegory for all types of insanity, right? Like if you say P Diddy in front of younger people, they'll start laughing, right? So it's interesting how that happened, or how I mean, we'll see how it all pans out. But it's interesting how that happened because I saw somebody comment, "Wait, this guy's music was actually good." It's like, yo, there's a lot of people I don't know. This guy actually made music. Like, like that's all gone. That's all gone. All of that is gone. All of that is gone. They'll take this money, make this gone. So yeah, And when you see stuff like that, you then wonder about how like history and things like that, like how these stories are told and so forth, right? I don't put too much credit on history. It can be, it's whatever people feel like saying. Diddy is really going for you. Is the children of the rising sun reincarnated people from Ogaka? Wow. Candid. I never thought about that. I never thought about that. I will say this: I don't think they're reincarnated because the reincarnation cycle, as far as Odinani goes, is a lot more rapid. So they would have reincarnated thousands, if not millions, of times between Ogaka and Oganwo, which is the two eras you're speaking of. That was dope though. But I will say this, as you probably understand based on the connection you made, the children of the rising sun have the same connection as Ndimbo, right? They have the same level of connection to what's above and what's beyond. Really, what's beyond is the term. What's beyond, um, as Ndimbo, right? So I see where you made that correlation. That was dope. In my place, polygamy is not chaos, except if the man's not fine. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Is generally not. It's really not a thing you see in Igbo culture anymore. I think Yoruba still practice it more. I'm sure it's fading. Edo, they still practice it. Ijaw, I believe Ijaw still practices it. And then in the north, it's just like it's increasing. In the north, it's increasing, right? But you just get all these horror stories about polygamy and polygamous families and how there's these like permanent disputes because of this and because of that. I had a good friend who, funny ass dude. I had a good friend from Edo. He was from a polygamous family, and he says he can't go back to Nigeria. And which Edo people like to say that nonsense. Edo people can't go. They can never go back home because of witchcraft. But his wasn't witchcraft. So he said he can't go back because when his dad died, his mom, him and his sibling had no real relationship with their other brothers and sisters, and everybody there had like there was always like a competition and jealousy and things between them, to the point where their minds were so poisoned about each other that he himself said that if he goes back to Nigeria, there would be nobody there for him. And I thought that was really sad. I thought that was really sad. But there'd be nobody there to go see, right? Because once his mom passed, that was it. His sibling moved abroad, he moved abroad, and that was really it. um, and his friends have moved on in life and that kind of thing. So you hear a lot of that. My wife's grandfather on her father's side had a massive, massive, massive polygamous family, and they said that he was just going around collecting light skin. They said he was just going around collecting people, collecting light skinned women. And so, but once he passed away, him and his little white light skinned minions all went their own different directions. They all went their own different directions, and they don't know each other, that kind of thing. So I do think polygamy died a semi natural death, but of course colonialism was a huge part of it. Probably did like 60% of the lifting. Brother, do you love helping people in need? Yeah, I do. I do. Uh, RS Vlogs, if you have an idea, let me know. We've helped members of our community, the village, who are in need here on this channel. I need to give you guys updates on some of the people that you guys have helped out too. Some the most normal things don't cross my mind sometimes, right? So I do need to give you guys some updates on some of the people that we've helped out over the years, just done fundraisers for and all these different things, because all of them are doing great. All of them are doing great. All of them are doing, like, the thing that was plaguing them is no longer an issue, and that was you guys. So I do need to keep you guys updated. But yeah, we love helping people. May you explain Elu. Deanna, can you refresh my memory? Danny Boy says, do you think your stream watchers are losers? I think you're a bastard from hell. How about that? Angel the Babe dancing. Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Have you seen the white boy mathematician who discusses African knowledge fractals? I have not. If you got a link, maybe email it to me or send it. I like videos like that. I'll do my. But yeah, I've been obsessed with fractals this year. 2024, I was looking into fractals a lot, and I bring up fractals a lot in my last 2-3 videos. So yeah, if you understand fractals, fractals are a great way for understanding Odinani. So when I was saying earlier about there's that the two, everything is a formula of twos, and then it just manifests itself at different levels. I'm describing a fractal. I'm describing a fractal, right? That's what a fractal is. A shape that within it is comprised of itself, and then within themselves, they're comprised of itself, which itself, and then that kind of thing. So that is what I'm describing as a fractal. A lot of the, like, if you go to like Igbo, a lot of the art there is displaying fractal geometry. A lot of, not a lot of, most of the time, in pre-colonial Africa, communities are arranged in a fractal setup. So for example, now, it's funny because before I had a word for it, I did not know the word fractal. I just didn't know what it meant. I didn't go far in math. So I didn't have the word for fractal. And I was trying to describe it in like several videos. In my Usu Explained video, I explained that one of the things that helped me in my research is because I understand that the community is a large, it's like a large version of an amma, a compound. And the compound is a large version of a household. And within the household is a large version of a person, of a human, of a person, right? So that setup helped me understand what the Osu system, where that came from, right? And technically, they would be the first sons of the community. They would be the one that keep the awful from way back, but things have kind of turned on their head. But yeah, so fractals will help you understand the whole of Odinani. I also remember in a video I was trying to describe it as like Russian dolls. Like, you know them little Russian dolls where you open it and there's a little one, you open that one, there's a littler one, but they're all the same, that kind of thing. So yeah, look into fractals if you want to understand Odinani. Don't be a troll, be a dwarf. He said, Black Lives Matter. He said, Nick Hurt. Okay, so I think the proverb speaks about refusal to analyze something or entertain. Ah, okay, I like this. Bracken says, I think the proverb speaks about the refusal to analyze something or to entertain a different point of view. It's a choice to stay in ignorance. I love that interpretation. Yeah, come take Archie. This one's for you. Mhm. Yeah, I'll be happy to be a mod to get rid of him. Phoenix, I think I'll make you a mod now. But just get rid of the ones that are being racist, sexist, or homophobic. Racist, sexist, or homophobic. If they're just trying to be funny, that's fine. I don't care. And then the other ones too. It's not. I don't. I got members of my community. I don't want their time wasted. So I don't know how to make you a mod right now. So I'll get to it. Keep me reminded. I bought Ugo Serious Art book on Igbo deities. Very educational. I enjoy reading it. I know Ugo is the man. We're about to have we're gonna have another discussion. Him and I decided we need a round two, so we're gonna have another discussion coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. Ademma. Okay, so should there be a separate altars for your ancestors and your chi, or can they share an altar? So they a lot of DBS get into this whole thing where they all need to be separate. I think they all need to be the same. It's really up to a person. The only altar that would be separate from your regular altar would be like your Aghun altar. The only reason you would have an Aghun altar is it would be the altar that pertains to your like life mission. So at that point, you kind of already know what it is. Like the best example or the most consistent example we see is like a Debia will have a specific altar in where the Debia does his or her work. And that altar is their Aghun altar where they communicate with Aghun specifically, right? Aghun tends to live away from the collective. This is the collective, this is Aghun, right? And so that is represented in many different ways. One of the ways it's represented is the fact that the Aghun altar is separate. but the chi altar and the ancestor altar is the same thing from my own perspective. And my perspective is correct because I take this shit seriously and I really research it, right? I don't like I don't say anything until I know, right? And so but yeah, the chi altar and the ancestor altar is the same thing because when we say your chi, right, your ancestors are a part of that. Your ancestors are a part of that. Your chi panned into creation by way, and you can trace the panning into creation by tracing your ancestors, right? Well, the thing that created me by way of these two parents, by way of these four parents, by way of these eight parents, by way of that kind of thing. So it's all one and the same. I don't separate it. The only reason the Agon altar is separate is because Agon separates and goes and works. That's what Agon does. It goes over here and it works over here, right? This is why debias in a community, remember fractals. This is why in a community, the debias workstation will always be away from everybody. It'll always be away from everybody. That's why people who are naturally debias are naturally, socially, they do this, right? Now, the caucasoid human being will tell you that, oh, this person you is because you have anxiety and you need to do this so you can stop having the maybe you're autistic, you need to fucking go over there and be with the people. But if your nature says separate, right? This is why the Buddha had to go away to unlock his Agon, right? The Buddha had to go over it to unlock his Agon. We keep bringing up Jesus. This is why Jesus had to go away to unlock his Agon, right? Separate womb. So oftentimes the altar that is separate is the Agon altar, right? And we see this just from life, as I described. Jesus is the King of Kings. So we say Igbo and Wenye, right? Which means Igbo have no kings. You cannot be the king of an Igbo man. You cannot be the king, Dylan. You cannot be the king of an Igbo man. It's fucking impossible. So get out of here with that bullshit. My chi has a separate altar. That's fine too. Your Chihuahua. Hold on, Angel the babe. Your Chihuahua or your chi, because Chihuahua, Agon, same thing. That's what I'm talking about. Your Chihuahua, Agon, same thing. And I think oftentimes when people say the separate chi, separate ancestral altar, they're using the phrase Chihuahua, which is fine. But I don't use Chihuahua because I don't want to confuse anybody. Chihuahua is one of the names for your Agon, right? Your Chihuahua, your Onyowa, your EALA, all of them are your Agon. They're all different names for Agon. So when people say a different altar for my chi, I'll ask them your Chihuahua. I'll say yes. I'll say okay. That's the same thing I'm saying. We're saying the same thing. But your chi, the main chi, and the ancestral altar, same thing. Same place. Interesting. So father tried to claim the symbol of power gifted to the woman by the river. My concept. Yes. Technically, the husband tried to claim it too. So it's a fraternity. Yes, it's a fraternity. And fraternity and sorority. There are women members of OU as well. They don't play the same role as the men though. So there's a particular dance that is done by an elder woman in the society, but nobody else can see it. Only members can see it. So and I believe OU, by all evidence I have, was originally a woman's secret society, a woman's society. OU was originally a woman's society. You can even see it in the story, right? It was originally a woman's society. That's why the OU dancers, they bend forward when they dance. If you see in Igbo culture, if you see a person bending forward, they're dancing like a woman. You understand? You see, there's something that's really pissing me off that young boys are doing these days, where they'll be dancing forward and shaking their ass, and they'll be saying, "Oh, this is Igbo traditional." That's a woman's dance. That is woman's dance, right? You're not doing Igbo dance. You're doing woman's dance. There's the men. The men have a way of doing their own too, but you're expressing your femininity by doing that. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have the right to do it. There's no punishment or whatever if they're doing it. But when they call it, when they take it away from its owner, right? It reminds me of this pattern I keep seeing, because OU began as a women's society. Now it's not. Ekbe, the Insibidi, all that stuff began as a women's society. Now it's not, right? That kind of thing. So, that kind of thing. Lakes can symbolize many things, including life, death, transition, reflection, also represent the unconscious, fertility, escape from the realm. He said, thank you for that. Spirit, they represent spirit. I asked my water color to water. They came. All right, wow. Angel debate, but that's beautiful. I love that. Um, I was told, it was told to me that dwarfs took my father as an infant for 3 days and brought him back. My father's side are in Ghana. Oh, okay. Dope, 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 dope. Do Igbos? Okay, so I know that in Ghana and Ivory Coast, they say that who we refer to as Nibo, we refer to them as Omo Ushi, Omo Ushi, Omo Ushi. They are dwarves with dreadlocks. That's the way they're always described. They're dwarves with dreadlocks, right? And I know that in Ivory Coast and Ghana, you guys also all of the West African cultures, they have the same, and into Central Africa, all the black people have the same general idea, right? And I know that in Ivory Coast and Ghana, part of the initiation for like things like a deba and things like that, like those kind of more esoteric titles, is like you will eventually see them, or they'll come to you and they'll take you into the forest, right? Um, and so yeah, we have the same thing too as far as Odinani goes, as far as Igbo culture goes, the exact same thing, and so forth, right? So yeah, it's the same thing. We have the same thing. They still exist in our community. Their spirit is still in our communities, and they emerge for different reasons and that kind of thing. So, oh, never mind. Even somebody pointed this out. So we have a group study on Patreon. By the way, get on Patreon, patreon.com/the medicine show. Like seriously, get in there. Um, one of the patrons pointed out that a lot of the sacred items, like the Ofo, the Ikenga, all these different items, that they're depicting dwarves, right? And this guy's American. He's not saying this because he's saying it from his own observation. And he's like, yeah, that is depicting dwarves, because anatomically, look at the proportions. The proportions are dwarf-like, right? You can go all these different ones, but then you'll have these figures with, like when ancestors are depicted, they're anatomically more closer to what we would refer to as a non-dwarf. So when he said that, it blew my mind, because then I started seeing it everywhere. You see them a lot in Edo art, Yoruba art, and that kind of thing. So I don't mind. Yeah, we have the same thing too. So same people. It was told to me. Okay, we already got that. Yeah, that story has confirmed my suspicions about secret societies. I don't mind. What would it mean? I go to Omambala or Abana Abo, where he definitely means Obana. Beautiful. That's awesome. That's awesome. Could the river in your community be considered an ancestor of yours? Absolutely. Especially if you are indigenous to that place, if you're an indigene of that place, right? Because in order for you to be created, your mother and your father had to take part. Now, I want to find a child who water was not a part of that process too, right? In the womb, you're nested in water. In the womb, you're nested in water, and that water is actively playing a role in creating you, right? So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The water is one of your ancestors. That's why I call her Nemiri. Ne means mother. Ne, mother. Miri, water. That was a good observation. When I visited Aguileri, they told me to go to the water myself. Then they taught me how to. Okay, Angel, I think you did not complete the thoughts, but I'm interested in your story. It sounds dope. Greeks honor their god till today using Catholic. Yeah, yeah, to an extent, to an extent. But the Greek gods are interesting because it's not what people have presented it to be, right? These are not, when they talk about Hermes, they don't mean like there's not a little guy running around with a staff and things like that. But that staff, that hat, the running, all of those things depict something, a force in nature that is very real, right? And once you get to the stranger side of things, you begin to see what they're talking about, right? You begin to see what they're talking about. Respect, thank you for sharing culture. I appreciate you, David. Thank you. Yeah, stick around. I don't know if you're new, but stick around. I've never liked P. Diddy with his Izzel. Well, P. Diddy has good teeth. I don't. You know, it was funny when I was younger. My dad was my dad got the what's the album after Biggie died? Every breath you take. That one. No Way Out. My dad bought that album like 4 times because my dad loses things a lot, and so anytime he'd lose it, he'd just go get it again, go get it again, that kind of thing. So we had that. We had like 4 copies of the album in the house. It was on repeat 24/7. But my mom couldn't stand him at all. She could not. She did not like looking at P Diddy. You know? So I don't. Maybe she was on to something, right? Well, I did not like. My mom didn't like seeing him. He annoyed her. And I'm like, why? He's cool. I'm sure not that cool. I don't know. His energy has always been gross. You guys sensed something before me. You have a thick accent. Are you from Mexico? Yes, I'm from Guadalajara. You know. What guidance would a nanny give Diddy to knock it off? I guess I don't know. In my place, it's not a fight. Polygamy is, in fact, a Pentecostal church that tried. Okay, I don't understand what's going on over there. I'd love to visit Igbo land. I have Igbo heritage on my dad's side, I believe. Odimma and my hubby say. What town is your hubby from? Phoenix. What town is your husband from? I've been to Lagos so far. That's good. That's what's up. That's cool. That's a good like dip your toe in the water, you know. But you always have to go back to your town. That's the real thing. That's the real thing. You have to go back to your town and not your. You're saying and my okay, yeah. So you're from that town too. So you have to go back to your town. Okay, what's the email I'll send? I think in the description there, my email should be in there. So check that. I just rubbed my stomach. But in the description, my down there in the description, my thing should be there. With the spiral, there we go. With the spiral, man, John, you're cooking. Uh, would the spiral be a good explanation describing the relationship between Chineke and how they create everything? Absolutely. It also describes that fractal because a spiral is a self-repeating pattern that just pans out infinitely and so forth. But the spiral and then whatever it is that is driving it to move in that pattern, right? The spiral and whatever it is that's driving it to move in that pattern, the design it is following, that is Chineke. Good catch. Our ancestor is able to connect with us in the spiritual realm. Absolutely. It'll blow your mind how vividly, too. It will blow your mind. Better yet, after we transition from this life, do we reside in the spiritual? A part of you does, but not all of you. Part of you does, but not all of you. All right, you'll return. You'll come back into this world, but a part of you remains spirit. More. Not all of you. The way we see it in Udinani, right? Everybody is made up of 4 things: your chi, your eke, your agu, and your mo. All of these things go their separate way when you pass, right? Your chi is your chi, so that's what that is. Eke, I use the phrase a lot: ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You return to the earth, right? Your agu, that is the part of you, the force, the abara, that comes into creation for a purpose. It is your guide. It is and so forth. So that's more earlier. I don't know if you were here earlier. We were talking about this concept of your chi altar being separate from your actual altar. That altar is the agu altar. The agu altar is separate for some people. All mine are in the same place, but eventually I'll probably have a separate one, right? Your agon and then your more is spirit. Now, all of these things are you. They're all equally you, and then they kind of just You know, what's them little toys where it's like scrunched up and then you pull it and it kind of stretches out more? It just stretches out and becomes a part of creation. And then your alcohol does the process of returning, right? That is the reincarnating part of you. So yeah, part of you remains in spirit. And that part of you that remains in spirit is always somebody can always access it, right? Speaking of your alcohol, so there's been a lot of talk online, and I think it's on purpose too, which I guess I contributed to. Not that I caused it, but I contributed to the pool of people talking about it. There's been a lot of talk about the gateway tapes, this thing called the gateway tapes back in the day, and I've described the gateway tapes in two videos now. And but my most recent video, I talked about this CIA experiment. This is real talk. Like they themselves released the documents, and they excluded the part that I'm talking about. They cut it out, and then they were petitioned, and they had to then let that stuff out. And they said that in the CIA in this time they were studying like astral projection, meditation, that kind of thing, and they were able to do this. I tell the story in my most recent video, Igbo numerology, right? Um, they did this study and they were able to reach this realm where they were with this thing that the people that reach realm would call their higher self. And this higher self showed them that and what they would say is that it's you, like it's actually me, but it's like me at full potential. It's like the full thing of me. Like there's just a sliver of me, and then there's this other me that is guiding me. But that thing was connected to all these other me's in these different worlds that all have different outcomes and all do these different things going on. It's go watch my most recent video. It's called Igbo numerology, right? Numerology, right? Now I, without a shadow of a doubt, see or believe that thing to be the agon, your chihuahua, right? I've said on this channel as well that your chihuahua incarnates into multiple people. It doesn't just come as you. It comes into multiple people, and so forth. They're all connected, right? I really appreciate you, bro. Your wisdom, knowledge, and time is really appreciated. Ironheart, I appreciate you. Thank you. I think when you tap my name, options pop up. Okay, Phoenix, let's do this. So it says pin message, report, or remove. Oh, I found it. I didn't scroll. All right. We have we have we should have a chieftaincy ceremony for the moderators. Oh yeah. Okay, Phoenix, raise your hand up like this, right? This is gonna be your hand. What you're gonna do is you're gonna hit my hand 1, 2, 3. Then we're gonna loop around and do this, and then we're gonna snap on the hands, right? Okay, Phoenix, tell me when you're ready. You're about to become a mod. I can't even see the chat, so I'm gonna assume if you're not ready, get ready. All right, 1, 2, 3, wrap it. All right, Phoenix is officially a moderator, y'all. He said, can manage blocked words, change mod live, can view, remove chat, hide, put others in timeout. All right, let's do standard for now. Phoenix, you're officially a moderator. Do DBS have common personality trait? Hell yeah. Yeah. Yeah, hell yeah. What? Difficult to work with. Yeah. Do DBS have a common personality traits like different? Yeah, no, there are these through lines there are these very consistent personality through lines with DBS. Very consistent personality through lines. I'm going to tell you from my own experience, right? And what is known at home. Disorganized. Not the best sense of time. Or let me not say the best, a different sense of the concept of time than a normal person, right? Disorganized is always a consistent one. Jumpy temperament, like tempers can go from hot to cold. So temperamental. Younger DBS, as they get old, they cool. It becomes very like a tree. I don't know how to explain it, but when they're young, right, a little bipolar with it, So temperamental when they're young, and then disorganized as hell is another one. Usually very very cerebral, very very in their head, that kind of thing. Not into money. Not into money. It doesn't mean that like a lot. I feel like a lot of people who are debias, because of the society we're in, they'll like lie to themselves that they care about money, but they really don't. You know what I mean? Maybe they care about what the money can do or what, but they're not really into money, right? They're not really into money. Um, if you think of like a lot of like in the West, if you think of a lot of like science nerds, it's the same. It's the same personality. It's the exact same. Oh, my doctor's handwriting is all slop. Yeah, all of them. And then their mind has this like sticky nature, right? So they connect things very easily, and sometimes the connections seem outlandish to everybody else, right? Most DBS have things they're keeping to themselves because it's going to sound crazy if they say it, right? That kind of thing. So sticky kind of I don't know how to explain it, right? So oftentimes, like when I'm talking to DBS, they'll be like, oh, like, the time, like the Egyptians, that, yeah, that's us. And that over there, yeah, we did that too. And that is actually this, and this is actually that. And like, so that's like, yo, slow down and chill out, like, you can't, I don't know how to explain it, but like things, they connect things very easy. But you see the personality type with a lot of like science nerds in the West, a lot of like, every story depicting like some type of shaman always depicts the same kind of character. That's really what it is, right? Um, but yeah, once the Dibia does Iragon, that hot temperedness kind of starts cooling down. Right? Um, but yeah, it's the personality type is so specific and so consistent that it's almost funny. Like, and then you'll start meeting people who are not even Igbo, right? You'll just meet like random ass like a Hispanic person. Like I remember this lady, we called her the Asenos lady. We were staying at an Airbnb. I remember I walked into her Airbnb and I felt those like presences here, right? And so I was like, all right, welcome, right? But there were presences in that home, strong ones, strong in the sense that you can feel them, right? And so I go to my room and stuff. I'm unpacking, I'm doing all that stuff. And after a while, she came up, started asking me questions. I didn't tell her nothing that I did. I didn't tell her nothing. She was just like, all right, I'm gonna talk shit. And so she starts telling me, her own experience about how, um, how she got really high one day and she started floating and she went to some mountain in Jerusalem with the Essenos, the Essene sect of, I think, Judaism. And she learned that Jesus was an Essenos. They taught her that Jesus was an Essenos and all this stuff and this and this and that. And then we started talking about like reincarnation and things like that. But I, I saw her eyes when she realized that she come tell me this shit, right? So yeah, same personality type, same person. She's smoking weed with Jesus, and she's over here with the Essenos, and they're on the mountain and and that kind of thing. But yeah, no, that was a very interesting experience. But yeah, just the same person over and over and over. It's Agon, right? It's Agon. It's just Agon in human form. So always off. They're at their best alone. They're at their best when they pull away from the group, right? I just started learning more about my Nigerian heritage, and I drew the Insibidi moon to honor my ancestors. He said, "That's dope." Alchemy, HZ, that was really dope. Oh, okay, she took it away. More Masonic, I guess. No, nothing. Had nothing to do with no Masons. Since women are there, or like my org and my brothers. I mean, yeah, okay, fine. It has nothing to do with Masons though. I believe Owu was originally for women because female debias are called Owu. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's there. Even look at the way Ray. I don't want to say your actual name. Rayex. Look at the way they dance. Look at the way they dance. They're hunched over and that kind of thing. Look at the way Owu dances. Those are all women. It's depicting women. It's got the long gown. It's a woman. That kind of thing. That's a woman. But yeah, it was originally for women. It was originally women's, and it became men's. Did they did Agun altar and Chi altar for my reincarnated? My yes, okay, all right, Angel de Bebix. So we're saying the same thing, yeah. So your reincarnated is your Agun, your Chiowa, your Onyilo, your Onyowa. All of these terms are not the same, but they're different elements or different natures of the same general thing, which is your Chihuahua. So yeah, your Chihuahua altar is separate. You're 100% correct. Yeah, it is separate from your whole thing because that is your Ago. That's the one that, right, kind of thing. Even when you're initiating as a Debia, you have to go away from people. You have to get away. The Gucci mains, runaway clone, tell all night. Oh man, this guy's losing his mind. Omoshi, I'm wondering if some of these people are AI. Omoshi are also called Aka people, if I'm not mistaken. That's I've heard that before. I've heard that before, right? Um, even the phrase Ogaka, the first world age, that kind of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised, right? That kind of thing. But yeah, I've heard that before. Are you aware of Efik spiritual ideas and traditions? How do they compare to Igbo? Um, Efik people will be stressed if I said this, but it's the same thing. Different words for the same thing. And then this Efik society is completely controlled by Ekbe society, by the Ekbe society. So it's a lot more heavily on the Ekbe manifestation of our spirituality than anything. A lot of insipidity, a lot of like Ekbe related things. There's also a connection to Central Africa, right? So a lot of parallels with the Congo, um, what you would experience in the geographic Congo, like Nganga, the concept of Nganga and all those. It's all part of the ethics system, but it's the exact same thing. The universe is dual. The dual things manifest themselves in fractals. Fractals have their different names. You're in community with all of the different elements of nature, so on and so forth. When it comes to like Efik and Igbo, there's barely a difference. Barely. It's just like, you know, they kind of dress different sometimes. That's really it. You know, barely a difference. Different language though. In the Congo, they're called Baka. Yeah, maybe that might be the same people. I don't know. Anambra, they're called Akanri. Yes, yes, they're called Akanri. Yes. Um, Rayex, everything Rayex is saying about the dwarves and the ancestral dwarf people is 100% correct. So pay attention to what she's saying. Or the spirits of Twa sages. I'm not going to say yes or no because I don't know, but there's a chance that there's a connection. There's a chance that there's a connection. There's this consistency all over the world, even beyond Africa, of these dwarves that teach everybody everything. A lot of like Thor. Thor in European whatchamacallit is a black dwarf. Thor is a black dwarf. Them little garden gnomes you put outside, that's what Thor is supposed to look like. That's what Thor looks like, you know. But they made him like Chris Hemsworth now, so just for the ladies, so but yeah, Thor is a black dwarf. Hephaestus, right? All these different iron working dwarves. The story is consistent. Sometimes the dwarves live underground, so but all over the world. Okay. Watching from South Africa. Hey, P.S. I appreciate you. Must be late there, oh. So shout out to you for the dedication and love. Oh, never mind. 47 people in here. Damn, we're cooking. Inodinala. Inodinani. How is harmony defined and described? Oh, this is a good question. All smiles. Okay. Of course. All right. I was about to say, this must be one of the professionals. All right. How is harmony defined and described for a person interacting with life interacting with a person? Damn. How is harmony described for a person interacting with life interacting with a person? It would be easier for me to answer that if I had something that contrasted to, right? But the concept that Igbo used to describe that is ibiri kambiri, ibiri kambiri, ibiri kambiri. You live so that I live. I live so that you live. Live and let live, right? So I think in Western thought, there's harmony comes with this idea, Western and Eastern, like East Asian, comes with this idea of uniformity, right? Harmony comes with this idea of uniformity. But harmony in African thought comes from the idea of acknowledgement, right? Of acknowledgement. And when I say acknowledgement, it means I'm acknowledging you as you are and what you are, right? And you acknowledge me as what I am and how I am. And then with that acknowledgement, there's a synergy we have. This is why greeting is so sacred in ancestral spirituality. This is why greetings are so, everything that's being done is some form of greeting, right? If you're visiting your altar, you're greeting, you're acknowledging. If you are, when you're calling your ancestors' names, your manifest, all these things are greetings. You're greeting people, right? And that kind of thing, right? So this is you are in this form. This is me, I am in this form. This is what we share, or this is what we share together, or this is what your form makes me do. This is what my form makes you do. Another place you see that is in how I'm going to use this example. If there's something I let people know in this world, it's this. Pay attention to the way African people, and when I say African people, I'm including people in America too, because people like to avoid that term African, right? That kind of thing. So African people, pay attention to the way we make music. Pay attention to the way we make music, because that all smiles be, that answers your question about harmony. That answers your question about harmony, right? I'll use the one we all know, hip hop, rap, right? If I'm trying to make a song in the rap genre, a producer's going to make a beat. The producer's going to make a beat based on what the producer is feeling, what they think sounds good, what they want to do. We didn't sit here and plan it. There's no composer that says you're going to hit E minor and then he's going to hit B sharp and it's going to make this sound and that kind of thing, right? You're doing what you want to do. You're cooking what you want to cook. And then I come in and I say, I don't like this one. I like that one, right? Again, right? There's a connection there. Okay, I'm going to bring out what it makes me bring out, right? So the uniqueness of the beat makes me do something. It makes me do something that the producer had no clue that I was going to do that. Did not tell me what to do most of the time. Didn't tell me what to do. Didn't really, I throw my thing into it. And then one of my friends come over and they like it too and they want to do the second verse and then they throw their thing. I didn't tell that person what to do. They didn't, but the uniqueness of the beat now mixed with me inspires them to do something else, right? So all of these different things and all of their different natures are in harmony with each other and then they create this new thing, right? That had no conscious coordination in its creation. Nobody nobody thought this thing should exist and then made it exist as it existed. But the uniqueness, the chi of the beat made my chi do something. And the chi of that thing together made my friend do something, and it came together and created a whole new thing, right? And that is actually, this is how jazz is made. This is how ogene is made. This is how juju music is made. This is how Fuji music is made. This is how big band music is made. This is how, did I say ogene? Palm wine music, high life music, mbem, oja, and any Afro beats, any reggae, soca, all of them follow gospel, blues, all of them follow that. Every single one of them follow that pattern, right? I was gonna make this video. I'm gonna make a video. My laptop broke, so it's not gonna be like one of my traditional videos. But I've been getting inspired to make a different kind of video. I'm gonna make a video talking about this Hillman talk, right? Have you guys been seeing Hillman talk? So a group of professors. Oh, it started with one professor. She said, I'm gonna have this class. I can't remember what class it is. I'm going to teach this thing, right? And then everybody had, I think, the misconception that she was going to teach TikTokers the thing. And then all of a sudden it made a professor over here that they weren't said, oh, I like what she's doing. I'm gonna teach my thing on TikTok too. And then another one goes, I'm gonna teach my thing on TikTok too. And in 12 hours, they built a university. 12 hours where you have a whole bunch of professors teaching the thing that they teach, right? I'm going to teach mine. I'm going to teach mine. I'm going to teach mine. I'm going to teach, and they all just bring it in there. She didn't say, okay, this is the blueprint and we're going to do point A, point B, and that kind of, that's not what happened, right? So they took that thing that we tend to almost purely do in music, right? Anything else, we start questioning ourselves for some reason. We need to stop that bullshit, right? Anything else. So the way we make music, that harmony, and use it to form a university in 12 hours, right? You can do that with anything. You can do that with anything. It doesn't have to stop at music. And it's valid, right? One of the things that African people do is, I'm not talking about African, I mean everybody, is whatever, and I can't stand this. If we do something one way and another person does something the other way, we automatically assume ours is wrong. We automatically assume ours is wrong. Or any flaw we can perceive in ours, we believe that once we start doing the other one, then the flaw will go away, right? He say it all the time, the stupidest things. Oh, the here in America, you hear this nonsense. The Chinese shop at their own. They shop at each other's restaurant. the Jews they shop within their community. All this fucking stupid shit. We do in Nigeria too. We say nonsense like that in Nigeria too, right? We say nonsense like that in Nigeria too. It says whatever we do that's different, ours is wrong. It must be wrong. You understand, right? It must be wrong, And so we have this superpower that we never activate anywhere except in music, because once we put it somewhere, we just assume we're doing it wrong and we stop, which is stupid, right? So yeah, let's stop that. Let's get past that. Let's use that superpower everywhere else. But that's harmony. That's harmony in the African context, right? It's jazz. If you want to see harmony in the African context, look at jazz music, look at Ogene music, look at Juju music, look at Fuji music, look at Copo de Calais. I can just jump and the thing. Here's another thing too, right? We don't fucking all these. I'm not talking about music too. We don't believe in genre. We don't have African music has no genres. There are no genres in African music. There are no genres in African music. I wish we'd just leave. Again, we in Nigeria, right? This thing that everybody's calling Afro beats. This thing that it doesn't have a name. It never had a name. That's why when it first started popping up in America, and a lot of them were like, I don't make Afrobeats. I don't make Afrobeats. And everybody's like, oh, he's a coon. He don't want to. He just wants to be. He don't want to. And people were just saying a bunch of stupid shit, right? But no, what they were saying was real. What they were saying was real, right? And this is what it is, right? I'm just making what feels good. I'm making what's hot, right? Everything people call genres is a snapshot of what Black people were doing the last time they talked to them. Okay, so the people who made jazz never called it jazz. In fact, jazz is an insult, right? The original people that started hip hop, they didn't call it hip hop. It's just a snapshot of it. Oh, this is what the hip hop is. Boom, this thing. I saw this thing with breakdancing, where who was this person? He was talking about how, he was talking about they're talking about I don't know, when Puerto Ricans got involved in breakdancing and that kind of thing. He said that by the time the Puerto Ricans got involved, that they were done breakdancing, and it made me realize that breakdancing was just one of the. It was like a dance fad for 2, 3, 4 years, which happens all the time. The Dougie, the little what's that little fucking snap thing we were doing in high school that I was doing when I was in high school, that kind of thing, You get these little dance fads and they come and they go, but then sometimes somebody catches a snapshot of it and it becomes a whole genre if that's their culture and that kind of thing, right? And we don't really do that, but the thing they're calling Afrobeats, it's not. It never had a name and it shouldn't. We need to stop that shit, But we're always going to assume, okay, well the West they have genres, so now we gotta have genres. So then we gotta stick with the consequences of it, and then the West will realize, oh, we were wrong. We shouldn't have genres, and then 50 years we'll not figure out, oh, okay, we were wrong too for following them, so well, just maybe in 50 years we'll figure that shit out. All right, I'm done with my ranting. Once I start ranting like this, it's almost time to go, so let's I'll do my they taught me how to pray because I'm a water person and they manifest. That's amazing. I'll do my let's do. Those remember their dreams, visions, are happy, confident people. Uchenna Frank, what you're saying is very correct. Yes, there's a lot. The full scope of a person's wisdom can never be unlocked without learning how to remember your dreams and acknowledge them and see them as something like beyond significant. I don't have the word for it, but beyond significant, right? Are snails significant animal? No, they're not. Yes, they are. And in a lot of communities, they are. I mean, their significance ranges from community to community, but yes, they absolutely are. Snails are significant. If you look at this shell of the snail, it's a spiral. If you understand the meaning of the spiral in Uli, in Igbo writing Uli, and in Sibiri, I'm just gonna say Uli. In Uli, you will know that the spiral means akaraka, destiny. It also means eke. Eke, akaraka are interchangeable, right? In both of those languages, that's spiral. So that's how creation pans out. That's why I was saying earlier, if you notice the world ages, it's almost like there's a shifting and reconnecting and further shifting and reconnecting and further shifting and that kind of thing. It's this spiraling, repeating pattern. That's what it is. That's panning outwards. That's why I don't think we can go backwards as far as the world ages, right? But the next one will be an age of greater connection than now, but probably less connection than Umwangu. And then the next one will be an age of disconnection. And then after then we become, we'll focus more on the material, which isn't a bad thing. It's not bad. And then connect again, and it'll be a lesser connection, but it's still stronger than that kind of thing. So it's just the same thing patterning over and over. If you follow the pattern. But the snail is significant in a lot of communities. It's taboo to eat or kill a snail. And then if you look at the art at Igbo Uku, Igbo Uku is like an artifact site that was found in the town of Igbo Uku, which means Great Igbo. That was found in that town, dating back to they say 900-ish, 900, 800 AD, like the time of the Romans, I believe. Time of the Romans. So there's all these iron artifacts that were found. Funny enough, somebody reached out to me there's a lot of families with artifacts that they just keep hidden. But one Mumu reached out to me because he had stole it from his family holding, and he was trying to sell it to me because he thought I was an interested Westerner. And because I talk about these things, I told him that please don't be selling this thing. Well, he's probably sold it by now. Let's see here. What is the Igbo word for spiral? I don't know. It's like it starts with an O. It's like woro or something like that. Like there's a lot of O's and R's repeating. But I don't know off the top of my head. I don't remember the word. Does anybody remember the Igbo word or know the Igbo word for spiral? I myself don't know. It's like a sound that the sound itself sounds like a spiral, like Boro Boro or something like that, or something like that. So if somebody remembers the word for spiral, please let me know. Or you can look it up on Google, but I don't remember. Funny, I didn't pay. My Igbo is like a 9-year-old's. I used to say a 7-year-old, but I've advanced now thanks to Kedu. Funny, I didn't pay attention to. I wish I did. Yeah, Igbo. Oh yeah, I forgot to remember. So the Igbo Uku bronzes, like Rayek said, features a lot of snails. There's a lot of snails. So I don't know. Cool. Yes, I watched the CIA documentary, Astral Projection, Crime, Massachusetts University. Interesting. From my mom, we astral project, so I learned a lot from watching your YouTube. Angel, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's dope. You got a lot of good stories. All right. The connection part sounds like me. Them DBS sound like people I would talk with. Yeah. So I'll call him a good friend, but we have discussions every now and then. There's a plant scientist, which by the way, there are a lot of there's what's going on in North Carolina. What's going on in North Carolina? Because a lot of people in my community are from North Carolina, and they're usually the ones that are like heavy researchers and almost consistently in food and agriculture. So I'm curious about that. But a good friend from North Carolina, he was sharing with me that in the Yoruba tradition, is he figured out his ancestors were Yoruba, and so he's become very entrenched and he's regained his ancestral knowledge. Let me just put it that way. And so he was sharing that, people say that Babalawo and Adibia are parallels, but they're not. That there's another type of Dibia that they have in the Yoruba tradition, and that's actually a Dibia. Babalawo is kind of a member of society. A Babalawo is closer to an Nze, right? But that this particular type of Dibia, they're possessed by the plant spirit, which is Arobinago, which is a Dibia. And because of that possession, they stay away from people. They're strange. And because they're strange, people don't want their kids to be. And I was like, oh my God, it's the same thing as a DBA, right? Exactly the thing. But one of the things he said was interesting is that he works with a lot of plant scientists, and that's how they behave too. They're bizarre. They're like, you understand? They're plant people are not like everybody else, you know? Who knows? Maybe I'm a plant person because a lot of that describes me. As seen, yes, John the Baptist and Heg is we know. Yeah, she says she got so high. She's a little Hispanic lady. Started floating and to the Esenios and met Jesus. But now, not that I doubted her story whatsoever, but I understand what happened. I have a strong understanding of what happened to her now. I have a strong understanding of what happened to her now. Let me just put it this way. It was kind of brought to my attention that Michelangelo, that Last Supper painting of Michelangelo, this should get kind of give me chills when I heard it. But that painting is not a physical scene. It is an astral occurrence. And Jesus and Mary Magdalene in that story or in that painting are not in the same reality as everybody else in the picture. Now go back and look at the picture, you'll see it. Because everybody's like, whoa, right? They're like, oh, this is the moment that Jesus told him that. No, they don't know because he didn't look like he just knew it was just like this, like a hologram. He just appeared, right? He just appeared. So there's something to that painting. Somebody broke it down to me what was going on. The person was a Mason, and they broke it down. They broke down what's going on, but that picture is an astral projection. Okay? And I think that's what she experienced when she went with Jesus and the Esenios. Yeah. And then hit the like button. Do you use divination tools? Ironheart, yes, I do. If so, what are your favorites? As African American, I would like to be great divination tools for me to start using. I would like to know more about your merchandise, etc. Thank you. Ironheart, man, I appreciate it. One of the things I've been considering doing is doing AFA here on live. So if you guys want me to do AFA, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. So I use a coin and I use the alpha language, right? So what I'll do is I'll use the coin to get the flips. So it takes me longer than having just the strings, but I use the coin to get the flips, and then I decode what the flips are saying based on what the alpha language is saying. I've been studying the alpha language for almost a year now, and I've gotten decent, but I still need to look at my references and things like that to decode. But I use a coin. A particular coin too. Um, but yeah, so that's how I do it. I'll probably be showing my technique sometime soon. But if you guys want me to do Alpha here too, because I've only asked two questions that pertain to me, and one of the answers I got actually changed my life. Right? It actually changed my life, and it was like pinpointed. That's when I was like, oh no, this is something's going on here, right? Which I didn't doubt, but sometimes you see it and you're like, yo. So yeah. I used the coin and the coin showed me that it works. So I'll do my Ironheart, if you're interested too, we teach divination in the traditional medicine class. Is there a difference between a priest or a steward of spirits and being a debia, or is the former a type of debia? A priest is not a type of debia. A priest is not a type of debia. A priest is a priest would be closer to what we now call usu in Igbo culture, right? This is the person that does the rituals. A priest is the person that does the rituals. So closer, but DBS have kind of taken over that role for priests, but that's not their original traditional role. I kind of wish they would just go back to doing the DBS stuff, because to me, where they shine and where they're valuable is in their I guess more scientific knowledge, but they're taking on more priestly roles because people see them as priests, and so that's, I mean, shit. If people, everybody's coming to me to do this thing, why would why would I argue? But that's close. A priest would be closer, if anything, to Osu. A priest would be closer to Osu than and then also a priest would be closer to like the Otmara, the first son of the family, and the father of the family. Those are your Odinani priests, or your father and the first son of your family, or your husband, right? The man of the house, right? Is the family priest. But and that's really where it should end. By the time Osu get involved, it means like somebody's committed like an abomination or something. We need to directly communicate with the earth, and do the sacraments necessary for the earth herself, specifically the earth, right? But the like a priest would be closer to the whoever holds the alpha in the family. So the first son for the clan, and then which I'm a first son for my clan. I'm a first son. My dad's a first son. My grandfather's the first son. I think that's where it ends. And then his father was the second son, but he was supposed to be the first. But it's a long story, a long polygamy related story. Uh, allegedly, I don't believe this, but anyways, this is some family shit. But yeah. So the first son is the priest, not a debia, not at all, not at all. But debias, people keep coming to debias because they believe that's what debias are, and so most debias, especially the younger ones, have just taken that role. So I don't know. One action of acknowledgement. Okay. Would the action of acknowledgement also be reflected of the fractal pairings of Chineke? Oh, now you're cooking. Or even how they split, like the split being, yes, yes, yes. That I didn't think of it that way, but as you're saying it, it's connecting. So yeah, absolutely. Plan on investing in your merchandise. You deserve to be supported, brother. Yeah, Ironheart, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead. I appreciate it. Yes, all them on the websites. Bookman, greetings. Please explain water has bones to the rest of us. Yes. Okay. So I was discussing this Elu earlier that said that most people don't know that water has bones because people don't chew water, right? Now, in this Elu, you see two unusual things happening. One, the acknowledgement that water has, or the assertion that water has bones, and two, the idea of chewing water, right? So, the very simple way to explain this is that when you do the unusual thing, you see the unusual truth. When you do the unusual thing, you see the unusual truth, you experience the unusual experience, you witness the unusual happening, right? But in order for you to receive the unusual, you must do the unusual. And life is comprised of what we are willing to do and the results that we get from what we are willing to do. But when we begin venturing outside of that thing, suddenly the shape of life itself, the nature of life itself, the laws of life itself, what we know and what we don't know begin to change, right? So I'll use an example. I have always said this, right? I grew up in this tradition. So these are things that I understood. Now I took it for granted for most of my life because I was just like, oh, it's just, I didn't think it was a thing. Like I don't know how to explain it. It was just like, oh yeah, just doing the thing, but I didn't approach my tradition with a conscious mind until my adulthood, right? Which is normal. But even in childhood and in adulthood, there were parts of it that I disagreed with, that I either saw I disagreed with, or I didn't think had any value. And as I do this channel and people say, oh, I want a video on this thing, and it becomes one of those topics, I have found that I learn 10 times more from the topics I didn't see any sense in, or didn't agree with, or didn't see value in originally, than the ones I had already agreed with to begin with, right? Once I do those topics that I initially did not agree with, or I didn't think, but one of them was the Obanje, right? One of them was Obanje. To growing up, Obanje was just something that like people would just accuse people of being just to be assholes, right? Right, just like an insult, and it sounded so fantastical and ridiculous and that kind of thing, right? And my mind doesn't go there, right? And so I was just like, yeah, okay, it's just some, old belief and that kind of thing. And I do that dumb thing people you do online. Oh, it's probably sickle cell, or it's probably all these things that people say, which it's not, right? And then I started doing my research, and I see some things. I'm like, okay, that's kind of, I didn't know that. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that kind of thing. And then I make the video, and people start messaging me and messing what they're saying. The things they're saying cause me to have this radical paradigm shift. Radical paradigm shift. People are like, yeah, you're describing me. And not only are you describing me, and they start telling me this and that. People telling me about how past life twins or past life friends that they're coming back to visit. They didn't have the words for it, but then they've been trying to describe it their whole life. And I made the video, and like, oh my God, that's what it is. And all of a sudden, when I said that, it started triggering these memories. A lot of trans people, like a lot of trans people reaching out, a lot of autistic people reaching out, a lot of people like I had one person reach out, and I clicked her profile, and like she had just been posting mermaid stuff for years, but I didn't have the I didn't want to say it because it sounded weird, but like, yo, I'm from water, I'm not from here, I'm from water, and I've always just said I was like an alien, that kind of thing. So I was like, yo, what the going on? And so that taught me to just like take these things in, take it in, take it in, take it in. This is not just research. That was the video that this stopped being a research thing for me, right? It stopped being a research thing for me because of that video. So shout out to all the autistic trans mermaids and all that reached out to me, because I was like, oh, okay, no, there's something going. There's like, I already knew there was things going on because like things I saw as a child, right? But then to have this, it almost made it like universal. I don't know how to explain it, but a lot of things started clicking, and I was like, okay, there's a lot more going on than we come close to describing. So that's my own example, because I didn't chew water. I didn't give the concept of Obanje serious thoughts. I didn't give it serious thoughts, right? Then one day I gave it serious thought, and it unlocked this whole new world of knowledge and knowing and that kind of thing, right? I was have people reach out. We had an in-house deba, and then they'd be like, "Oh, this person's from water. This person's from water." I was like, "Is everybody from?" Is everybody from and so we sat and we had a conversation about it. He's explaining, and I was like, "Oh, the water people in an American context just call themselves spiritual, right?" So when I say I'm talking spirituality, they show up. You understand? And then we have our group studies, and everybody kind of says very similar nature. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm starting to see. So just things like that, things I didn't give too much mind. It wasn't even that like I didn't respect it or whatever, but I just didn't think about it. I didn't chew it. Once I started chewing it, I started seeing that I had bones. So sometimes you need to do the thing, or no, there's just okay. There's a lot to be found. There's a lot to be found in the stone you haven't turned over. That's all it is. That's what it's saying. So chew the water, find the bones. Put them on. Feel good music. Oh, okay. Okay, I think I'm back. Angel Debate feels feel good music. Yeah, like, and then like Afro beats, and the problem is, right? There's this thing that non-African cultures do, and I like sometimes I get pissed off, like, why am I the only one who's seeing this shit? There's a thing that non-African cultures do, and it's canonization, right? They'll canonize something, and once it becomes canonized, it's stuck. It's stuck as that snapshot. But what Afrobeats is just like, it's just a person making a banger, you know? Like, okay, this one's it. Next year, we're gonna have a new way of making a banger, and a new way, a new, and people started, oh, the sound of Afrobeats has changed. That shit changes every month. It's supposed to. My bad. It changes every month. It changes. It's supposed to change every month. That's how we make music. That's how we make music. It changes every day, right? That kind of thing. Because everybody's just finding new ways. And then sometimes they'll make something in South Africa that's kind of slap, and they'll just take it and throw it in there. They'll make something in America that's kind of, they'll take it and throw it in there. They'll make something in Jamaica and they'll take it. Oh, they're coughing. No, dude, that's just let it flow. It's a flow. It's a flow. It's a flow. That's what it is, right? It's not supposed to be taken super seriously, right? But in the West, we do this thing where we're like canonize, like, oh, this is this genre, and this is this genre, and this is this genre, and this is this genre. This is like, even with like rap, right? They're used to, people are like, oh, we need subgenres in hip hop. And I was like, they're going this fucking bullshit again. So now they got subgenres, right? This new generation is growing up with subgenres. Like, I listen to this kind, I listen to that kind. But when I was growing up, it was just everybody just making the thing that sounded good. And you can listen to an album and this song sounds like this, and that song sounds like this, and this person over here sounds like that, and that person sounds, and then they can work with each other. But then you have the situation where it's like, oh, I'm a damn I'm a goth rapper. I have to just do this sound over and over and over. Like, okay, like I don't know. So I hope I'm describing something that other people see. But yeah, I think the core issue we keep running into is that we always, whenever we encounter somebody that does something different from us, we always think that person's doing it correct and we're doing it wrong. And I don't know why I don't see things that way, but like I wish people would stop, because a lot of valuable things just die over and over and over from that habit. From that habit, right? The what's another one that was pissing me off the other day? Anyways, I don't want to be on this topic too much, so I'm new to the community. Damn, we got a lot of people in here today. P.S. And there, well, welcome. I'm new to the community. Please excuse me for my question off track. No, you're good. This is just random ass question asking. You ask a question, you're keeping this thing alive. So, can I ask about the use of plant medicines and learning about yourself? When you say medicines, my friend, are you being generous or? Yeah. This is the place to ask about plant medicines and learning about yourself. The use of plant medicine. I'm going to use your term, but I know what I'm talking about, and you might know what I'm talking about too, but you might not. But the use in plant medicine is a version of chewing the water and finding the bones, right? A lot of people will use ayahuasca, and then they discover these things that they would have never had the opportunity to discover until they had a relationship with that plant, right? So people use mushrooms, they'll discover a thing. There's a bunch in Igbo land too. I don't want to share them because I don't. Americans are on a perpetual quest to get high, and I don't want to disrupt the local economy or the local life over there. But there's a bunch of stuff in Nigeria too that people will use to give them a new perspective on things or a new way of saying. But it's not super common back home, right? So yeah. The use of plant medicines to learn about the self is a perfect example of chewing the bones or chewing the water and figuring out that it has bones, right? You do the unusual thing, you see the unusual answer. You ask the unusual question, you get the unusual answer. And sometimes that unusual answer is what is necessary to cause that big shift for you to see the other side of the self. Like the way I see it, if a person who lives inside of a box can never describe that box because they don't see the outside of it, right? And sometimes you need something that allows you to see the outside. And sometimes it's a little plant medicine here and there, as you eloquently put it. And one day, Angelica. All right, Kemetic proverb: He who understands music understands the cosmos. Yes, yeah, that's what it is. And this thing I described about jazz, I described about ogene, I described about rap. That's about Afro, all these different genres. That's how nature works too. That's how nature works too. There's a tree in front of me. That tree in front of me is growing the way it's growing because of what the soil is. The soil is what it is because of what the sky is. The sky is what it is because of what the soil is, right? The sky is cooking up a beat and everybody's rapping to that beat. They're all animated by the spirit of that move, right? Of the same old say, right? I am what I am because my wife is who she is, and vice versa. My children, it's all the same thing. We are doing the same thing with each other, right? That kind of thing. So that's what it is. What did Kamala Harris say? You live in the context or some shit like that. She was cooking with that. She was telling the truth. It was really random, but she was really cooking, Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same way we make music, the same way the cosmos operates. The planets are what they are because the sun is what it is. If the sun changes nature, the planets would change their nature. Right? I'll do them all. Servant of Lucifer? Hey, chill out, bro. Does your friend feel the sentience of plants? John, this particular person, I don't know if they do. I wouldn't be surprised. There is something very special about the person. But the person himself is a plant scientist. Like he's like a agricultural or nutrition oriented research scientist of some nature. And he's I'll probably have him on the channel very soon. He's very adamant that African people in America should be eating a West African diet. He's really on that. So you guys might know him. Well, can you give me a shout out? Tomorrow's my last day of life. I have answer, please, please, please. It's my dying wish. Oh, that was kind of dramatic. Father in heaven, you there? Okay. Yes, please. Okay. Do you need to be initiated to study the Afa language? That's a good question. Anyone can study the language, but to do Afa, there are certain rituals you will do first. So yes. But anybody can study it to know it, right? But once you start handling those things that come from more, once you start, there's a start running. Dude. All right, so I can never just be cool. All right, so once you start handling those things that belong to more, that come from more, they're delicate and they require you to be in union with a certain spirit. So does Arobina going to tend to direct people to the plant's importance to their heritage or related currency? Yeah, absolutely. Emmy, 100%. When explain the meaning of the ilu, you reminded me of the saying that along lines of wisdom waits for the feet wait for wisdom. Yeah, I use that as the motto for this quarter for Kedu. The proverb we're talking about is Oku ne Chebuche, Uche ne Chebuoko, which means wisdom await the feet await wisdom. It's saying something very similar to chewing water and finding bones in it. So Phoenix is sniping. You're in good hands. I appreciate you. Trans autistic mermaids. I was like, there's a lot of trans autistic mermaids out here. Oh God, that's like literally not even a random designation. That's a type of person. And I'm letting you know right now, they reached out. And without them reaching out in their numbers, I wouldn't have had that shit. Even if like two of them reached out, I'd be like, damn, what the because again, I never took Obanje serious. I just thought it was like Bigfoot, like the African version of Bigfoot, you know. And then you make the video, you're like, okay, this is what they say. Like, all of a sudden, it's like, yo, yeah, that's me. In fact, so yeah, man, shout out to the trans autistic mermaids. What does Odinani say about autistic trans mermaid people? I don't know. I don't know what Odinani says about autistic trans mermaid people. I know that when I made a video about Obanje, a lot of autistic trans mermaid people reached out to me to let me know that, yeah, I'm talking about them. So I don't know what Odinani says, but they have an interpretation of what I said about Obanje that connects to them. So it, it's just something I never thought about, believe it or not. Where can we attend these groups? So we have a group study on Patreon, patreon.com/the medicine show. Like every tier except the first tier can enter. And it is every other Sunday. So next Sunday, we're going to be having it in the morning my time anyways. You sound like Obama. Can you do an impression? I will not do an impression, but I'll take that as a compliment. So people used to say I sounded white until Obama got invented, and then they started saying I sounded like Obama, which is the dumbest shit ever because I've never met a white person that sounds like me on play. If you guys can name the person, then cool. But you know, America's a goofy ass place sometimes, and people say goofy shit. But that was the one I used to hear, and that which, what the fuck, people start saying stuff, which I don't think I sound like. I sound like my dad. I don't sound like Obama, so I don't know. I think we both just over enunciate. So yeah. Could water people born on Uriya Day? I believe they're almost, they're pretty consistently probably, or like always maybe. I don't know. We blaze up in here. Yeah, okay. Can I get a who? Yeah. See, like for example, now, like with trolls, like King M just says, "Can I get a who? Yeah." That's cool. Like King M, come hang out. I appreciate you sharing that lighthearted energy, you know? But if you're saying something that's like racist, homophobic, sexist, then you gotta go. We're not making anybody in the village uncomfortable just because nobody in your life thinks you're important enough to hear your jokes. So you got to come here and do it. Yeah, exactly. Not hip hop, melodic. Oh, I do melodic rap. Like, all right, dude. You know what I mean? Like I used to like one of my favorite albums is Method Man to Cal. And like every single verse he just does it in such a different way from the other ones. And then sometimes he'll go into like random little sing-songy things in the middle of it, and he was just really playing around with it. But like, what is that like? I guess the album's like 12 different genres now, based on how they do genres now. It's like, dude, just let people do what they want to do, and if you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. Next year they'll be doing something different. You know, then when you do the genre things, like, oh, the person changed, you changed. Oh, it's not real anymore. It's not the real one. It's fake now. What's your Facebook? I don't use Facebook like that. I don't use Facebook like. If you're asking me, Angel Debate, I don't. There is a medicine show Facebook, but I really don't use it. I really don't be using Instagram like that too. So find me on Patreon or find me on YouTube. What's this about? Spirit. Jordan, welcome. We talk about Odinala, which is Igbo spirituality, cosmology, ancestral thought. But people have asked me some random ass questions, and if you ask, I'll answer, unless it's like some freaky type question, because we're in a post freaky America. Can you speak on where the solar system is moving towards? Hold on. Solar system is moving towards inwardly to the center of Sagittarius. I don't know. I don't know too much about the stars and stuff, or planets and things like that. Well, I mean, I know a decent amount. My son's a fanatic about planets, so I know more than the average person, but because of him. But I don't know enough to tell you where the planets are going, if that's what you're asking. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Okay, Voltaire. Is there any meaning behind birthmarks? Yeah. So Birthmarks are kind of used as a sign of figuring out somebody's chiwa. So the big idea is that the birthmark will have a significance to the life of the previous person. Either like, let's say somebody gets like stabbed here, and then all of a sudden you're born with this big brown mark here, things like that. And then there's other like little cultural beliefs about like birthmarks. Uh, Moles, the same idea with like beauty marks in America. With moles, the same thing back home, that wherever you have one is like it's like a beautiful part of your body. um but they're usually used to find like your chihuahua and things like that, right? Or they point back to your previous life. They're like clues to your previous life. Birthmarks are also visible aspects of your general your akaraka, the etchings on your body, which you see in the hand, right? And sometimes you have little marks, like I have a little thing here and that kind of thing. It's all a big part of the big story being told about you. But there are birthmarks that you can't see, right? Which I've shared about. Everybody has this tapestry of brown lines going through their whole body, and it is related to, it is for a person who can read it, it is their chi kind of telling the story, the blueprints, what it is, what it will be, what it has been. So I don't know. Is there Igbo astrology? I don't I don't think so. And we don't focus on stars too much. We don't focus on stars too much. I think pastoralist cultures focus on stars more, and agrarian cultures focus on land more. So we don't focus on stars that much. Now people, okay, they got stars in fucking Tajikistan. We don't have astrology. No, now we gotta have the astrology. So people are gonna do that and give you the different versions of the fucking shit. But I never heard anything about it growing up. What I understand is that everybody has a grain of sand and a star in the sky that is connected to them. Sometimes a grain of sand is a stone in the sand, that kind of thing. But everybody has a grain of sand and a grain in the sand and a star in the sky that is connected to them. That it's their EALA. It's like a stream running through creation, and so forth. And this is not just everybody, but everybody who has ever existed and who will ever exist, right? Um, which, funny enough, brings me to the topic that I actually made this about. Hey, I think the live restarted? Because it says I've only been doing this for 17 minutes. I think the live restarted. Did the live restart, y'all? Anyways, whatever. So as I was saying, the reason I called maybe the original live or this live, I don't know, but I called it "You Were Never Created" was that somebody shared something that was really interesting, right? And what they said was, I can't remember her name, but somebody on TikTok. I'm gonna make a video about this topic, and I'm just kind of brainstorming it right now, which is why I want to talk to you guys about it. Um, she made this video talking about this, and the point she made, she said that a person, you were never created, right? Because, and the example she used was that the egg that would later become you first comes into the form of an egg in your grandmother's womb. I was like, what? Right? So she says that a female child in utero already has all the eggs they're going to come into the world as, which means that that egg that later becomes you already, or you already existed in your grandmother, right? And it made me start thinking, that everybody has a place where they draw the line of where life starts, right? Some people will say at the point of birth. Some people will say heartbeat. Some people will say it's beyond that and that kind of thing. So it makes me wonder if the belief that we are created, that we start at a point, right? That we start at a point shapes the way we see the world. Because I obviously think it does, but now I'm curious as to how it shapes the way we see the world, right? That we start at a point. Because what is that point? Is it the egg? Is it the sperm? Is it when they meet? Is it like where do you draw the line? Because at all times, this physical thing known as Derek Duro Afadarangwa is metamorphing into something else, so that at no point in history it's the same thing, right? At no point in the history it's the same amount of cells doing the same thing in the same position and that kind of thing, you know. And so where do we finally say, okay, this is the start, you know? No right or wrong answer, just a discussion I wanted to have. But yeah, I don't think people are created. All right. Let me go back. What is the next human stage after the age of suffering? RW, I don't know. I've never been there, right? I've never been there, but if we follow the pattern, there's a pattern being repeated. So there's age of separation, age of union, age of separation, age of union. So what we are going to experience next will for sure be an age of union, an age of reconnection. Um, but I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what it's going to be called. I don't know when it's going to start, and that kind of thing. But the next age is going to be more connected to light, more connected to light than this current age. DJ Duval says, can you talk about EALA? Yes, so oh wow. Thank you. So EALA is an art form. It is an art form back home, and it goes into anything pertaining to land. Remember earlier I said that our ancestors see the earth as like a grandmother or a member of the community, a member of the community. And so when we are doing things with her, there are, she's not human, right? So she has a different way of communicating, a different way of existing, a different way of being. So there's an entire science known as EALA that goes into how to interact with the earth when we are using the earth to do blank, right? How do we use vibrations? So there's a staff that you use like that causes vibrations. How do you use okay, how do I let me pull it back. So the way our ancestors see it, right? If you see a blank field, right, that blank field already has a town on it, if that makes sense. Okay? If it is destined to have a town on it, that town already exists. I always use this allegory of a seed, like each person is a seed, every seed is actually a forest, right? And if as it interacts with that harmony that all smiles be that we were talking about, if it has harmony with the elements of nature, it'll grow into a tree. The tree will bring fruit. They'll become trees. Birds will come, perch, defecate, create more trees. Mycelium network will emerge as animals live and die on it. And all of a sudden, in 200 years, that little seed you see that, oh, it was a forest the whole time. So this is how our ancestors see humans. This is how they see environments. And oftentimes, or like ancestrally, not anymore, ancestrally, before something was done, like when you arrive to land, you'll use the staff to figure out what each parcel of land actually is. And you begin to just reveal what it is. Even though there's nothing there, like as a blank place, this is a market. Why is it a market? Because the vibration is communicating the vibration of a market. This is farmland. How do you know? It's vibrating that way from the staff. You strike it in the sand, it makes a certain sound, and then you know, okay, this is that, this is that. So a lot of these communities are built based on what the earth tells you it already is. What the earth tells you it already is. Roads, for example, right? Footpaths are considered sacred in Odinala. The reason footpaths are sacred is because a footpath is an example of this. The path already existed, right? But over time, human beings reveal it with their feet through movement, right? So, for example, I don't know if you guys have seen that meme where it's like function versus design, and it's a sidewalk, and then all of a sudden there's a footpath that deviates off the sidewalk because the sidewalk was built in a certain way that, bro, I'm trying to go over here, or this is a quicker way to get there, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. So the footpath is another way of revealing this. But EALA, one, lets you know the seeds that are unseeable but will manifest into whatever they're going to manifest into. This land is this land is that land is this. Don't plant this over here, don't plant that over there, don't touch this tree, don't destroy this tree, that kind of thing. So that's one thing it reveals. Another thing okay, so this all goes together, how to live harmoniously with the land, how to be in harmony with the land. Because again, this is an elder member of the community. She doesn't talk the way we talk. She doesn't act the way we act. She's not cute. We're not the same, but still a member of our community. So how do we know how to live with her, right? Is she allergic to this? Does this thing bother her? Does this thing make her happy? That kind of thing. So EALA goes into, like, the main place I see EALA is with, like, it's not even city planning, it's really city revealing, right? City revealing. So this idea of city revealing or town revealing, and then upon the revealing, how to hold the land together, how to eat jala, how to hold the land together. So there's a lot of different things that go into it. It's a whole science, right? It's a whole science. I don't know any DBAs that do that specifically, but I know the topic is still, like, it's not completely buried. Like, people still understand it and that kind of thing. So yeah. DJ, man, you've got some knowledge to be asking me that question. That was dope. In Odinala. War, peace, love, and sad happiness are positive, or there's beats. Yeah, they're all different beats. They're all different beats, right? It's up to the individual that experiences them to determine what they are, what they mean. It did restart. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why it restarted. I just read a study about some disabilities start with the grandmother, and it used that exact scenario. Yeah, and so I was thinking, like, what influences that? Because, we say things like, for example, like, I was listening to this Nas song, a fetus, where he's talking about he's in a fetus and he's in his mother's stomach, and his parents are fighting. They're all fighting each other. Like, the mom and dad are constantly fighting each other, and it makes you think, like, how does that impact? I mean, we all obviously know how that impacts. What you call it? He made it so personal that's like, okay, that's interesting. But now it's like, yo, your grandmother's experiences while she was pregnant are also going to manifest through you. What she is exposed to, what she's not exposed to, um, all these different things. Your mother's mother is also manifesting. Like, she also held you. She also very literally held you the same way your mother held you. You know, diseases, immunities, even beyond just like what your genes are saying, right? The experience that you have with her. So, all right, y'all. I think you guys got 2 lives for the price of 1, which is cool, because I didn't do one last week. We were starting Kedu, and I was very busy. So, but yeah, guys, this has been a great discussion. If you're not on Patreon already, join patreon.com/the medicine shell. Um, it's the place to be. It's the place to be. All right, so get over there. You get access to my full research library. It's got a lot of really great books. By the way, guys, if you guys are looking for books, like, on topics, don't feel shy about asking me. Someone told me that they've been combing through there trying to find something, and, like, if they would just ask me, oh, it's right there, that kind of thing. So if you're looking for a specific topic to read about, a book, that kind of thing, article, a study, it's all in there. I'm going to start incorporating. I used to incorporate them a lot in the group studies, so I think I need to start doing that again a lot more. We'll see. Anyways, the group studies I let the spirit tell me what's going to happen, so I stopped being intentional with them. So I'll do my. And then, yeah, we just started Kedu with the language classes. Those are full, but we're going to start opening up the traditional medicine class for those who are interested. The You should be able to join beginning of next week, right? Beginning of next week, you should be able to join the traditional medicine class. So if you're interested, it's www.kedu.me. Or if you join Patreon at the highest tier, then you get everything just all together. So that being said, guys, uno gadi, uno geto, gobala, uno triaka, hogadi nowa, gadi otwaneke, norie, nafo, nankwo. He said, all right, shika, guys.